Starfield.
Oh boy.
That's not how to do it.
No.
How do you do it?
No, this is how you do it. Starfield.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to Go Live. Yeah, in this beautiful Saturday evening, and we have an incredible show as always. This one is going to get very spicy because we have a lot of topics to go through, and we're going to try and push the 1.5 hour mark because Asa needs to be somewhere later. He wants to sleep, so I will try and manage it despite the fact that I have a trillion topics. Thanks you, Asa. The one time we have so many topics, but
that ain't gonna happen. We're already 10 minutes late.
I was gonna say, Gaz, could use it being a nice, concise, shorter one today. In terms of about fucking 9:10. Yeah, you don't get to pass blame around. What a dick.
I had to make space.
And are we 10 seconds in until the first swear, or is YouTube going to demonetize you?
That's why we leave the intro screen up for a little while. It's fine.
Yeah, that's good. That's good because this is not going to be monetized after that. Hey, everyone in chat, I see you. MacBout Blaze, everyone. Peter Morland, shout out to everyone. If you're listening to us on Spotify and Google after the fact, thank you so much for joining us. And we are going to get into it. But before we do, as always, the usual protocol, we have to introduce Asa, who released a great video we can talk about perhaps at the end. But Asa, how are you?
Fantastic, Gaz. Fantastic. There's loads of the whole gaming sphere has turned positive again. So it was always positive for me because I'm not like a fickle little bastard that gets upset every 5 minutes. But now everybody's with me. Everybody's enjoying the hobby. So it's a good week. Let's get on with it.
Yeah, no, it's true. Asa is a very optimistic person, despite the fact that you cannot read his emotions from his face. So, but there you have it. And what an incredible panel of guests returning to the show. Kay Asante, how are you doing, brother? You ready?
Man, I am doing great. I appreciate being invited back on. The man sent me the invite, and like Michael Keaton, I was like, "Hey, I see the bat signal, and I'm here." I didn't even know I had the pleasure of podcasting with the man Fonzarelli Gaming as well. So I'm excited to be here, and of course, as you said, there's games to talk about. So I'm excited, and Asa, if you happen to talk about VR or whatever, I will be here to have your back so these guys can, the troglodytes, the flat earthers,
the troglodytes.
Can just, have a minute to themselves.
There's no VR talk.
I'm in control, okay, Santi. We can talk about VR as much as we want, but don't worry, audience, we're not going to throw it all the time.
I'm just saying.
No VR talk. Hell out of here. Maybe when playing PSVR 2.
I was going to say, Asa's always positive because he champions VR. He has to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's no way to go but up,
Force that smile, Asa. Force that smile. And speaking of lovely smiles, it is the Starfield, man. Fonzarelli Gaming, what's up, bruh? I need to get a new soundtrack. How you doing?
Yeah. No, it's good to be here, man. I'm glad that you invited me. I haven't been here in quite some time. Glad to be here with Asa, you, and of course, Kay Asante. I always find his takes he's very well spoken. He thinks about it before he speaks, and I appreciate that. Some of these guys, man, they run their mouths on podcasts. They don't even think before they say what they're going to say, and it's just like, you can tell. You can tell. They're just like, yeah, you know the guys I'm talking about. Anyways, we won't say their names, but I'm glad to be here. It's going to be a pretty positive show, honestly. I think we have a lot of positive going around in the gaming industry right now, and we should focus on that. The negative stuff, man, it's all BS right now. We've got some great games coming on all platforms this year. 2023 is going to be a phenomenal year for gaming, period.
Mm-hmm. And it started off pretty strongly. Well, I don't know why you guys thought it was going to be a positive show. What? Who told you that?
Mostly, yes, there is some negatives. Oh, shoot.
Well, we had to start with this one. The Forspoken, if you remember, our lovely, loyal viewers, we had a little Metacritic guess in chat. I said 75. Wow, that was very high. I bet the developers would be eating at the chance of getting 75 for Forspoken or for Broken. That's bad. 66 Metacritic, 720p unoptimized, poor performance. ASO, let me lead with you. Are you going... This studio, if Square Enix were pissed at the performance of Guardians of the Galaxy, which was a good game, can you imagine a bad game and then being shat on critically?
Hold up. I have to stop you real quick. Can you actually show what the game actually looks like? Not this trailer. Because this ain't it. Okay. Go ahead, Asa.
He's telling you to stop drinking the marketing Kool-Aid real quick.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so Forspoken, like for the longest time, every showing of it, it showed as a game that had a setting that should be appealing, and I always said there's something off to me, and this isn't going by the reviews and the technical issues and how whether or not it's been, well, it has been downgraded since those initial trailers, but something about it didn't sit right. My predisposition was based on it looking and feeling like Final Fantasy 15, which was for me very much a mixed bag. Forspoken, my opinion on it, oddly enough, hasn't changed in the slightest as a result of the reviews, which possibly says something about the coverage and industry as a whole, really, or it possibly says nothing at all because it's just me and my take on it. But I'm still of the opinion that it's a game that I might play one day, and I'm definitely still not in a rush to get it, which is exactly what I would have said last week or the week before. It's obviously disappointing for the people that were looking forward to it, to see that it's not performing as a banger for your console war fueling and ammunition and all the rest of it. But for me, I don't know, I feel very indifferent to it still. It's still on my list to play one day when it's really, really cheap or on a subscription service.
Okay. Well, I guess that's positive. Does anyone have any compulsion to play this game? No, I'm not being harsh.
No, I played the demo and didn't care for it. The worst part about it is it wasn't the way it looked to me either. It was the way it felt. The gameplay just was not fun. The combat mechanics were sloppy, clunky, and I just felt weren't fun. That's the bottom line about the game, and it didn't have that fun factor for me. The traversal was okay, but you're running across a barren landscape that, and when you do come across an enemy, I found that the enemy AI was just piss poor as well.
Yeah.
Like, I would stand there, against some AI and not even hit them, and they wouldn't even be hitting me. And I was just testing it going, this is weird. And I was destroying everything pretty easily. So I put it on the hardest difficulty to see if that would change. The only thing it changed was their HP, not the AI. They didn't get smarter. It was the same thing. So I just felt it was just bad. And so I stopped playing it and just, said this ain't for me. And I was excited for this when this was Project Athia, when it was announced, a couple of years back. I was really looking forward to this. Like this,
well, how
I love Sony games.
Then?
Yeah, and the way it looked, it looked cool. Like even the stuff that's being shown now looks really awesome, right? But it doesn't look like that. It does not on the PS5.
Yeah, I mean, this game, first of all, speaking of downgrades, Keosanti, do you remember Project Athea and the trailer for that? They're very different from what we got.
Absolutely. The trailer was absolutely epic, and I too played the demo. I feel by and large the same way as Fonz did about the demo and its playability. I will say that, like, I found the game itself as an oddity, and I like that. So it, like Asa, one day, like how there are those movies you don't go to the theater to see, but if it's on HBO, you'll just kind of watch it. This falls into that for me. It's like if it happens to be on a subscription service or I catch it on a deal somewhere, I might want to pick it up and try it out. Why? Because it's the first game that supports direct storage on a PC, and I am a PC gamer as well, and it's supposed to be really substantial. It hasn't proven to be, but still, it's an interesting piece of tech. So I want to check that out. It also has day one on PC Xbox achievements. Yes, that's right, Xbox achievements for a game that will not be coming to Xbox for 2 years. It's got Xbox achievements on the PC store right now. So all that makes me go, there's some questions here that I kind of want to have answered. I would want to check it out, but it's definitely not worth the asking price. For me, it's just not. It's not worth the asking price, and that's beyond the the game itself is just not fun, right? And as many who know me know, I'm a dad gamer, so there are certain games that can't be played when kids are around, and you would think this is a game that could be played when kids are around because the violence is obscure and it's sci-fi and you're very floatery and all that. Except the fact that every 2 seconds you have to whip out that bleeper and bleep because the cuff or she is saying something completely ridiculous and inappropriate for the situation that they're in. That's ridiculous.
So let's talk about that a minute too. The dialogue in this game, as cringe as it is, I could have gotten over it, if it had good gameplay. Seriously, I mean, I've played many games with cringe dialogue. It's not a big deal. They went really extreme with the cringe in this dialogue, and I saw a lot of people like chalking it up to, well, it's like an angsty teenager, blah blah blah. But she's like what, 20 in the game or 20? She's not a teenager. She's an adult, and she's a felon, by the way. Like when the game starts.
Fonz, let's not go down that rabbit hole because we're gonna derail for a while on that topic.
No. But the thing is, she's not this young angsty teenager, and I don't know why the writing is so bad, especially it coming from, I forgot the gentleman's name, but Amy Hennig was involved in the writing as well. And Amy Hennig has created some amazing games.
And Gary Whitta, the writer,
Gary
one of the
Whitta
writers on Rogue One. Yes.
Exactly.
Which I consider, by the way, one of my favorite, if not the best, one of the best Star Wars stories. Rogue One was.
It's definitely the best out of the new ones. Here. It's definitely the best out of the new, but I just think that it's pretty. The writing is pretty bad in this game, and if you're looking for a narrative type game, which most Sony games are, if the writing is bad, that's a problem. That's usually a problem in these types of games.
So just like God of War's narrative elevated the experience, this has the opposite effect.
I will leave it at the shallows end of the water, but I will say that the publisher of said game seems to peddle a narrative. I'm looking at you, Barrett, and this is no different than that.
Oh, I don't want to get it wrong. Shine Films in the chat said they didn't write the dialogue. Did they or didn't they? I've always heard that it was Gary Whitta and Amy Hennig. I don't know.
Yeah, I think Gary and Amy wrote the environment and the main storyline, like what happens, where they are, that kind of a thing. And dialogue are written by different teams. At least that's what I thought.
Yeah. Well, whoever did the dialogue specifically, not good.
Yeah.
Okay, Sansi, you were touched upon a thing that we want to take too much time on it. It should afford it in the seriousness of the situation. Yeah. But there were some issues. There was some noise. Other than the dialogue, which has been divisive, some camps said it's not that cringe. Look at High on Life, which I think is a different type of.
It's a different type of situation. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. There's also one of the protagonists. Now, I mired myself in it because I was observing. I'm like, and I saw quite a lot of people.
You do as you do. You stepped in the crap as you always do, and then it was all over your shoe, and you couldn't get off of it.
I tried to delete it only because I didn't want something so serious to be conflated with a console war issue, which I saw a lot of comments from a lot of people. A lot of black people said, look at this representation of this character in a fantastical world, and she's in New York. She's got arrested for resisting, she's got arrested for resisting arrest, and she's got all the stereotypical tropes. And I said, that fair enough. It does seem like you're taking the mick here. I feel like Square Enix, in an attempt to appeal to the West, is hitting those tropes. And I thought, I can imagine people feeling a certain way because I am so sick and tired of people from my background always just used as Arabs or whatever, used as cannon fodder. We're just NPCs ready to get mowed down in games. And it's good. Sure. It's good that you've got protagonists like that. Yeah. I feel like the sentiment is surface drive-by sentiments, and I just don't feel like it does enough justice. Obviously, some people were saying, you do not have enough melanin in your skin to talk about this. And I said, maybe you're right. I will bow out.
To that part, to the people who say that, I say ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. If you see an injustice and you choose to speak on it, please continue to speak on it, because not everybody will. And actually, to move things forward, you need people that don't look like me to see the things that I see. So I appreciate you seeing it and saying something about it. And those who don't want to get in the ring, you're fine. Stay out of the ring, but stop talking when others are having an actual conversation. I completely agree with you. To me, and we're not going to get too deep into it because the game itself is just bad. Right? The game is just simply bad. But beyond the bad game, beyond the bad mechanics, beyond the graphics being very wishy-washy, it's like they're trying to peddle some kind of narrative, right? And I will leave you to ponder what narrative they're peddling. But first, Square Enix releases a character that's a complete block-headed caricature of a black person, right? I'm looking at you, Barrett, right? And then we complain about it constantly. So then they finally actually release a better character. And by the way, the actress who plays that character is a British character. So her British accent shines through most of the time. Right?
Yeah,
but
it really does. You did a good job.
What did they do? What did they do? They made her New York. They made her street. They made her hood, right? They had her rap sheet an arm's length long before the game even starts. What are you trying to say? I'm just saying, I'm putting that out there. Let's move forward, shall we?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, one thing I will say, though, that I think one of the narratives that was going around was that many people weren't picking it up because the protagonist, wasn't white or whatever. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, how many times have you played a game? As a gamer, for me, I don't even care what species I am in the game as a protagonist. Like, I never look to a game and go, oh, I'm not playing that because that's a girl or that's a guy. If the game is fun, it's fun. That's it. I mean, and one of my favorite games of this last generation was, and a lot of people hated on it, Mafia 3. Guess what? Black protagonist.
Was great.
Lincoln Clay was a badass. I loved playing as Lincoln Clay.
Great. And what's weird about this is that Square has the community at its back. They love your games, even to the point where when you're not representing them, they're still loving your games. But for some reason, when you have to have a protagonist that finally looks like them, she speaks the way she does and comes from where she comes from, and all those stereotypes rolled in it just makes me go, why? Like, it's just weird. Let's move on. Nobody
100%.
Somebody said bad.
Somebody's Carolina Gamer said if Frey had been a lizard, it would still be a bad game.
It's just correct.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
it's a poor. I just think that gaming is maturing now. We have matured. I just feel like the narrative in games needs to mature. There's so much. Like I said on Xbox Era Show. There's so much untapped potential of the culture that if you actually delved into it, you could tell amazing stories. I think the solution would be if we had dev outfits based in those countries, based in those really, that's the benefit of enhancing like the developer support in loads of regions where typically they don't, or they're apathetic to game development.
I understand. Let me just say that I understand the point of representation. It's very important. At the same time, though, I don't like the fact that some people are using certain things to defend a game where, it's just a bad game. Period.
Yeah, bad game's a bad game.
To most people, I'm not going to say there's some people out there that don't truly like it. There are those that actually are having fun with it.
But to your point, Fonz, if this was a PS5 banger, 10 out of 10, amazing, highest of heights, I would still have this criticism of it.
Yeah,
right. Okay. I'm still playing Final Fantasy Remake, Final Fantasy 7 Remake. I'm still going through it. I have it on my PC. I have it on the Steam Deck. I'm playing it slowly every day like a fine wine. And every time I see Barrett, I curse the damn sun because of. I'm still in it. You know what I'm saying? So it's not to say that it's the worst. No, it's just every time you see it, it reminds you of that. Like, these guys are trying to say something, and what they're trying to say it ain't that good. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly. Well, to move swiftly on, Hargy with a $5 super chat goes, as a joke, it has to be said, Forspoken is PlayStation Plus fodder. Source.
Oh, yeah, that's another one too. Bayek from Assassin's Creed Origins. Amazing protagonist. I love
one of my favorites.
My favorite Assassin's Creed protagonist, period. He's my favorite. Love that character.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And Deathloop as well. Like a lot of people say this is racist because it was like, why did Deathloop do well? Like it's not that, but at the same time, there are also issues.
The game was good, people. Period.
Like we're not saying, look, if you want to build your characters and you use a certain protagonist, it's fine. I can see that. It's like it's good. They could put someone out there like that, but it's just like, well, where's the depth? If you want to use it, then be prepared to be called out if it's lacking depth for a game that's story based. But speaking of story based games, here's a game where the story doesn't matter. I don't know how I was trying to desperately link that. Goldeneye is released after years of begging. Finally, years. Goldeneye releases on the Xbox. We didn't think it was going to happen. Microsoft and Nintendo got in bed with each other and they managed to reconcile whatever it is, and it's out, and I have been loving this game. Most people probably dropped it after 2 minutes. Asa,
You played it?
are you huh?
You've been playing it?
Why do you think I'm late today? I was playing that. I'm trying to get every single. I don't give a damn about achievements, by the way. I never care. But this is the one game I'm going to get all the achievements, and I've been enjoying it. So I was just doing it, loving it.
Have you really though been enjoying it, or are you just chasing those achievements, brother? Because
you know what, I will say this: I don't never give a damn about achievements, but it's actually elevated the experience for me because for me it's
Really?
it's added a whole different challenge. To do facility
I
in under 2 minutes was a nightmare.
I have a question. Have they? So
I enjoyed it.
GoldenEye's achievements are different though, because the achievements were in the original game. They're achievements designed before people were chasing like a meta score or whatever, and they are well layered, well designed achievements. They always were, but the game is much easier on an Xbox controller. Have they like rebalanced these, or is it really easy
control
now?
schemes rebalanced. It is, the control schemes are rebalanced now.
No. The controls are much easier, but are the achievements rebalanced?
I'm not sure, because this is a different game than what we know. Like I don't know if y'all have that context. But hold on. There's context to this game. This is not the game that leaked online a few years ago. There's a game that there was talk. Hey, there's a remake coming where you have GoldenEye, the N64 GoldenEye. You press select on the control scheme, and it switches to Unreal Engine 3 version of GoldenEye
the
remake.
PC one you're talking about.
It was an Xbox Live game that leaked online because whatever reason, right? Maybe I got my hands to see this. So when this game finally was announced, I'm like, fine. It releases to the public. Everyone gets to play the greatness because you hit the button, just like a Halo Anniversary. You hit the button and it's an Unreal Engine 3. Yeah. This is the OG one, just kind of cleaned up a little bit. Like what kind of BS is that?
You know what this is. You know what this is.
That one was complete. It was done.
Nostalgia is a hell of a drug, right? And I loved GoldenEye on the N64 back in the day. Loved it. Played the hell out of it. Me and my brothers, split screen. We played a shit ton of GoldenEye. But a few years ago, this is probably like 5 years ago, I tried to play it again. So bad. And we have moved so far ahead in the first person genre that game just is not what it once was. So going back to it, and when we heard this rumor that this game was coming out like a year ago or something, I had said people are going to play it for 5 minutes and then put it down. And I had people yelling, no, it's GoldenEye. It's the greatest ever. And then I have people on Twitter right now tweeting at me in the open saying, Fonz, you were right. I started it up and I played for 5 minutes and I put it down. I'm like, of course. Bro, it's dated. It's, we've moved so far from that.
We have, but I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. I'm going to 100% complete it.
That's good.
That's what this is for, right? Yeah,
can do that.
For you. It's for the nostalgia folks.
It's still satisfying shooting the enemies.
My only bit of smoke, and I keep harping on it, is had they released the version that actually had the new version and the old together, then maybe it's a little bit more of a novelty for somebody like Fonz to go, yeah, the game was trash, but let me see the remake version. Maybe it looks better or something, which it kind of did, right? They just re-released the N64 version. I'm just like, why? Yeah. That makes no sense.
Weird. Still feels good with the vibrations and the left trigger aim. It works. The dual analog works well. I was wondering how the dual analog would work.
Well, though, that was the reason for my question in the first place, because I've only played like the Dam. I put it on its hardest difficulty, breezed through it, and was like, hang about. It was not this easy on the N64. But you get dual analog sticks and you play this game. Well, no, I'm much worse at games than I was. I did all of the achievements on the N64, like played through the entirety of the game and did everything there. But it feels like it would be very, very easy to do now because you can just move better than you used to. Even though it's quite a janky remaster, the movement doesn't feel brilliant. Like it doesn't feel like it's designed for two sticks, and it feels a bit sticky and inconsistent. Yeah. And I very much decided. So I went through the Dam. You've got these 4 objectives on the secret agent one. I did B, C, and D, but apparently I didn't disable all the alarms. I can't remember how you disable all the alarms. It took me quite a while to get. Yeah, well, I completely forgot. I jumped off the Dam and was like, oh, I failed. It took me a little while. The whole use the modem thing. I couldn't remember how you navigate the watch. So I was just like, what button is going to stick a modem on this little console? So it took me a while.
Oh, that was annoying.
The combat was piss easy, which it didn't used to be. And I was like, no. And I have no desire to go back and play it again because I didn't think it was particularly good. But there are still things that shine through about the level design that I miss. I really miss in modern games having health that declines. Because you don't see that anymore.
I think you hit it on the head, Asa. I think you hit it on the head. That's why Gaz likes it. It's piss easy.
Maybe. I think, to be fair, I know Gaz, and I know he would enjoy it more if it was more challenging. Like, he genuinely would. But yeah, like... But I appreciate like the way that those achievements are layered, the way that if you go on a harder difficulty, it's not like the enemy's just smarter. It gives you more to do within the same space, and that's brilliant. Like the achievements are really, really good. The interface is like you've got a little ammo counter, but besides that, there's not a map and an interface and bleeps and blops everywhere. It's like HUD, here's your level, figure it out, go and do what you need to do. Everything you need is on a watch, nice and intuitive and like fitting in with the world. So there are things that I like about it, but no, it doesn't really hold up.
Blocky Pierce Brosnan. I mean, come on.
Just here to say that Gaz, your time is up. LA car parking lot, June 2023. On what off? You up?
All 5'2" of them.
You know, where will you guys be? I'll hold the camera. I want to see this. Like,
do it. Just see it. Say the caption will be "Small man destroys big man."
That's David and Goliath.
And David won.
But I agree with you, Asa. Definitely, the difficulty has been brought down quite a bit. But I think the achievement and the drive to get those really has added a layer to it. I find, like, for instance, Facility, even now, it's so hard to do it under 2 minutes. You have to kind of, like, just be lucky sometimes because Dr. Doak is hiding. GoldenEye fans will know. I just really enjoyed it. It was a good game, and it finally got released. It's been pulling me away from another game, but before I do... let me read these super chats. Huggy, thank you for the $2 super chat. Goes, the gun noises are hilarious in GoldenEye. They're good noises. They're not funny. They're
pap, pap, pap. Yeah.
Come on, it wasn't that bad. Face 23, Brooklyn, New York. Thank you so much for the $20 super chat. It goes, Fonz, you enjoyed God of War Ragnarok, but you thought it wasn't worth the money since you complained so much about price. Why don't you stick to Xbox and Game Pass or wait for price drops? What are you gonna take?
No game is worth $70. So yeah, I complain about all games being $70, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna buy what I want to play, and I wanted to play it, so I bought it. It's my prerogative. If you don't like it, I'm sorry, but thanks for the $20.
Face, come on, man. What you doing, bro? Why are you watching how other mans eat their food, bro? But
pocket watching.
Who sauce? Speaking of $70, I think this is $70. Dead Space Remake. I bought it, but there was a discount. I think EA Play if you're Game Pass subscriber. And I game share with Colt, so it just works out cheap anyway. It's like we're paying $30. But the Dead Space remake is out, ladies and gentlemen, and it is doing very well. Me and BG had a bet. BG, the piece of always gets his Metacritic scores either on point or very close. He said 90, I said 85. It ended up with an 89 Metacritic. And I've been playing it today. Beautiful game. Like, it is so beautiful. Like, this is what a next-gen remake should be. And I know The Last of Us was quite divisive. Yet here we are, despite making fun of or critiquing The Last of Us. Keosante, is this any different? Is it hypocrisy to be excited for Dead Space Remake? That did come out in the 360 gen. So did The Last of Us. And here we are. Like, I'm seeing some very little complaints. What do you think?
See, honestly, to me as a gamer, if the game came out some years back, to the point where nostalgia has had a chance to build up, and you hear that, oh, they're doing a remake, go for it. And when I mean remake, I mean Dead Space remake. I mean, the Demon Souls. Last of Us, yes, that counts. I mean Final Fantasy remake, the ones where they literally take the original work and they, put new engines to it, put new assets to it, really like recreate the vision and bring it back. I think that's a great idea. It's just the ones that you just played it literally just like 5 months ago and they want to kind of sell it back to you again. That's where I think the righteous smoke is deserved. Like I do understand why they did the whole Last of Us Part 1 and Part 2 thing, because you see what they're doing with the show. So the idea being, hey, you just finished the story, you've seen these divergence or whatever, right? And you want to play the game. Here's the game for you, but it tends to be last gen's game. They want, you happen to have a PS5, they want you to be able to have, this gen's game and all. I get it. But it's still a bad look. Come on, that thing just came out 5 months ago.
It's because of the remaster, is that why? And the length of time?
See, had they released it, re-release it, make another one, that's fine. But had they released it and went, oh, we understand that we just remastered this a month ago or so, and I'm being facetious, yes, people, don't come for me. Right? Had they said, we understand that we've just remastered it or we just remade it, so those who purchased the last remaster gets this at a discount or whatever, something like that, some kind of mea culpa, that would have kind of dulled the smoke a little bit. But to have it come out, buy it on last gen, buy it on the gen before that, and then literally as soon as have the same one again, while it's justified and while I saw the upgrades and it is seriously an upgrade, I still think it's just not a good look. You know what I mean? It's just not a good look. So, by and large, moving forward, this situation I don't think will be repeated, right? So the next time you get another potential for remake or whatever, it will most likely be one of the nostalgia-driven things, right? Clearly, it won't be something like GoldenEye because it's an IP legal mumbo jumbo. We know, but like those are the types of remakes that when you make, people go, "Yes, I want that back," right? If somebody right now said to you, "Oh, guess what? They're doing a Jet Set Radio Future remake," would you or would you not be jumping for joy?
I'll pay $100 for that.
Right?
I wouldn't.
Well,
it needs.
But if next year or in 2 years from now, somebody says, "Oh, by the way, we're doing a remake of Hi-Fi Rush," what would you say? Get the heck out of here with all that ridiculousness. It is what it is. It's the length of time, I think.
What do you think, Fods? Like, are you gonna get this game?
I'm really considering it, especially when I'm looking at CD keys right now. I can get it cheaper.
There you go.
Frugal that way. Love that. But I'm looking at getting it because I'm hearing a lot of people out there, friends of mine anyway, that are having a blast with it, telling me that it's worth it. It's a really good remake. And that's what means the most to me is the fact that, when a friend of mine or friends, I've got plenty of friends playing it, telling me this stuff, because over reviewers and everything else, journalists and stuff, your buddies know what the kind of game you like and stuff. And I love Dead Space. I love Dead Space 1 and 2, I should say. I never played 3 because I've always heard it was bad. So I've only played 1 and 2 and love them. I think I love 2 more than 1, though. I think 2 is
that's a surprising take. I usually hear the opposite.
To me, it's more suspenseful than 1 was. And I like the overall little changes they made in 2. I would like to see them remake that too. That'd be cool. But I think both those games hold up so well, though, that if you didn't want to spend the money and you wanted to play the games, you can play the old versions, and they're fun. They're fantastic. They're well-made games. But the thing that's really pushing me over the edge was to buy this game is the fact that I was watching a review and the changes that they made here. Some of the changes are really freaking cool. Like the fact that the areas where you go outside, you're actually like flying around rather than just like jumping from one point to another in slow motion. That's really cool. They've made several changes to where you can go to different areas that you couldn't access before. That's really cool stuff. And plus, it's Dead Space, man. Dead Space feels so good. It was such a great combat system that they had there. I loved shooting off the limbs and stuff off the aliens and stuff. It was really fun. So I may get it. I tried to play Callisto Protocol. I have that game.
I was going to talk about that.
I'm still trying to play through Callisto. And there's just something off about it that doesn't feel like Dead Space to me. It doesn't hit the mark, and for some reason I can't get through it. It's
don't
boring
blame
me.
you. A lot of people feel like that.
But
I wasn't.
Dead Space was so much better in my opinion. I don't know what the difference is, but there's something there that just doesn't hit right. I don't know what it is.
When you play Dead Space, you'll realize what that something is.
Really?
Because I really enjoyed Callisto Protocol. I loved the in-your-face melee combat. I know it's not for everyone. There were problems about it. But when you play Dead Space Remake, and I've been playing a couple of hours of it, and I was really hooked. But then I was like, let me get those GoldenEye achievements as well, because they were calling me.
You know what I think it is? I'm sorry. In Callisto Protocol, I'm only about maybe halfway through. The thing about the combat in that game is it appears that most of it is like really close. Like you don't get those moments where you're getting to shoot limbs off far away, you know. It's like they're always in your face and you're always using that baton more than your gun.
It's the melee
irritates me.
Problem.
And then it's like they want you to focus on using the environment around you to kill them too, like throwing them into stuff. And I just don't care to do that. I'd rather shoot them.
Yeah, so the shooting mechanics of it is what, when you play Dead Space, after playing Callisto Protocol, you realize how refined Dead Space is, especially this one. Is very smooth, and the gunplay is how you imagine it. And I'm surprised that I still feel the same things I felt when I was playing the first one. It's very faithful in many ways as well as a remake. You will recall lots of bits of the first game, but it amps up the tension with better sound design, or more enhanced sound design, visual design. Seeing the Ishimura, is that what it's called? Just seeing that. And I remember watching it with the 360 version. It was like, obviously, it looked nice. They're big, grandiose, but now it's got detail in there. It's like very beautiful. The game is very beautiful. Voice acting is great. Story is great. It's just... You're going to enjoy it. It made me realize how far back Callisto Protocol was to Dead Space Remake.
And you know what they got right in Dead Space Remake over Callisto was the black levels. The black levels are raised pretty high in Callisto. They're almost gray to the point where it's washed out. And you have to really drag your brightness down to make it black. And that didn't, I don't know. I hate when games do that. And I noticed that right away with certain games with, the HDR and stuff. When they have raised black levels, it just pops out to me so bad.
Badly implemented. Well implemented. Yeah, absolutely. They say the good implementation, at least at launch of Callisto Protocol, was the PS5 version, because as you know, Sony brought their ninjas out to assist in completing it. So even PC looked bad. So I can imagine it didn't look great when you played it on Xbox. I assume. Fonz?
Yeah.
What's up?
What console did you play on Xbox?
Oh, I'm playing on Series X. I had it gifted to me, and that's why I feel bad too, because I don't like not completing games that are gifted to me, because I really appreciate that.
It's almost like it's a responsibility
awesome.
to finish it at that point.
Yeah. And you know what? And somebody else said, a player said it in the chat. He says on the OLED, it really shows those raised black levels. It does. And again,
that's why I asked which system
reduce your brightness.
On PS5, it's not the same. That's why.
And I've told people to do this before. Reduce your black level on your TV to like 42. I'm telling you, on your OLED, it looks so much better.
I need to
Callisto,
do that.
it gets dark, and you could still see things. It just doesn't over brighten the image. It's just over brightened. It's too washed out.
See, I haven't played Callisto, but I would bet fairly significantly that if you just disabled HDR, it would be fine.
Oh, I tried that. It didn't work.
Really not.
It didn't work. It's still raised black levels, and I've heard other people say the same thing. But yeah, it's something I noticed right away in games. It's just I was like one of the first one to notice it on Red Dead Redemption 2 when that dropped on the One X. I said, "Man, the HDR's broke. This is not working." And people were laughing at me. "You just don't know what HDR is." I go, "It's broke. I know what HDR is." And finally, like 2 days later, it was HD TV Test, a guy that does YouTube videos and stuff, and he talks about stuff, gets real in depth. He came out and said, "Yeah, he confirmed it. It's broken." And I was vindicated. I was like, "I told you. I know what I'm looking at with these games. If it's got raised black levels, I'm going to find it."
Yeah. I mean, that's what one of the first things Colt was saying as well, that the black level is really good. It really makes the image pop. It is a beautiful looking game. I can't hand up notice that. I just look at the overall visual fidelity and it runs really smooth, just sounds great, looks great, voice acting is great, and is brought up to the current standards. So it's one of those games now I have to
real quick, guys. On the point of voice acting, they added a voice actor where there was no voice before for Isaac. Did that change the equation for you?
So this is the thing. Isaac, I don't remember Isaac having a voice.
He didn't.
So when I was playing it,
he had no voice. He was
and now we didn't have a voice. Now
no, he didn't. He was a silent protagonist before.
Yep.
He was Link before, and now he's talking.
And it works. It genuinely, the facial expressions, you'll start off in the ship, you control the camera when you're heading towards the dock on the Ishimura, and he's talking, and I'm like, I don't remember this bit. And now I know why. It's because he never has spoke. But the facial animations as well, they're like not on Callisto Protocol levels. The facial detail is amazing on that game. That edges it in here, but it's still great. So yeah, definitely check out Dead Space Remake. It is doing well critically for a good reason. I really enjoyed it. I'm not, normally I don't play, but I guess maybe my palette is changing. Like horror games, I don't usually play it. This one.
What I find most interesting about people buying Dead Space, and this is a lie, I made that up. This isn't what I find most interesting at all, but this is just my contribution to the conversation. So I have Dead Space because I've got the EA subscription on the PC. So I've got it downloaded, ready to go, but I haven't started it yet. But it is an absolute certainty, or near enough a certainty, that game will come to subscription services across both consoles within a year, because EA's games do. And yet, lots of people are buying it. This is a single player game with no service elements that will not be diminished in any way whatsoever if you wait for it to land on a subscription service. So arguably, potentially, devil's advocate, like, everybody that goes and buys that game is voting for subscription services that do not have day one for their games. What do you say to that, Fonz?
Oh, he's
I don't have a
one.
subscription service on the console.
No,
that's the problem.
The
right?
game is coming to a subscription service in a year. So the message that you send if you buy it
in a year, but no, it's a message saying that a lot of us suffer from FOMO and we're not going to miss out. That's the problem. And this is a remake we're talking about. It's not like a brand new game. So I guess FOMO's really not involved there. It's not a new game, so it's the same story pretty much. Yeah, I don't know, but I don't look at it that way, because on console it's a year out, man. That's kind of a long time to wait.
That's what Sony do, though, right? Well,
yeah,
we don't know their time frames yet.
Can't do that.
Yeah, that's why I say Sony's strategy is good. I always think Sony strategy is the smart play. You're still leveraging the box for an unknown period of time. So people don't know. There's no hard time limit. Might as well buy it. That's why Sony strategy works. I always think it works. I've always said that. My earliest appearance on RDX, I said that. It's like, it just works. Argy-chan is being really, really bad. That wasn't going to be a topic I was going to cover, but very briefly, I'll touch on it because we have these illustrious guests. He goes, thank you for the $10 super chat. He goes, Jim Ryan's looking for parity that Xbox isn't offering. They're offering timing, content, features, quality, and playability. I wonder what's missing in that list. All right, performance. Hoggy, what are you talking about? We start the general gist, by the way, we're just hearing. I want to very quickly touch on this. Is Microsoft have come out and said that Sony are lying to regulators abroad about what parity is. Like, they're basically saying these are bald-faced lies. Here's a public statement. We have offered content parity completely and have offered a contract, a binding contract if you want to get into it. Jim Ryan's lie, literally Jim Ryan, the liar, the meme, and it's just playing out. Well, obviously, I'm not in the back room, and I don't know what's happening, who to believe.
You know what? Here's the thing, though.
I know who to believe, actually.
And when you talk about you don't know who to believe, the thing is this is coming from head of communications at Microsoft. This is the guy that's putting this out there and telling people,
you wouldn't say that if it wasn't something.
No, because you can get sued for things like this.
Yep.
So
not just some fly-by-night guy just spitting some stuff on Twitter. Yes, absolutely.
He's been with Xbox for, I think, 10 plus years. He's the lead communications guy there. And I think his name is, it's Frank X. Shaw. And he's stating this. And you know, when he put it out there, it kind of shocked me, and I had to look him up and make sure, you know, on LinkedIn and all that to make sure he was the right guy or the real guy.
He doesn't have your subsequent check mark, so people kind of questioned his pedigree. But yes, you know, him putting that out there is very substantial. It means something, right? It definitely means something. And the fact that he's putting that out there and it's not a voice you've heard before, I feel like Microsoft is getting a little bit brash. They're getting a little bold, you know.
Well, they need to. If Sony's lying to regulators. KSRT, tell me this. Does this not... Asa thinks it's all fine. It's business. They'll get over it. But Asa, come on. You cannot expect to behave this way and then think it's going to be fine and back to normal. These are permanent relationship schisms being formed and birthed in front of us.
I remain adamant that if the deal falls through, which I don't think it will, but if the deal fell through, then Activision and Sony would carry on as if nothing had happened, because that's what their shareholders and stockholders would want, and that's just the way things go. What I will say, though, this whole scenario, I don't normally care for the Activision Blizzard King talk, as you know. I'm very happy to skip past it. But as both of our guests have pointed out, it is very, very weird that someone at Microsoft, head of Microsoft Communications, would tweet from a personal account, very informal, with a very bold accusation. And you know that they're not allowed to tweet about this as a general rule of thumb. Like, no one at Microsoft is allowed to go on social media and talk shit about the legal ramifications and issues that are going on with this deal. So this has either been through Microsoft's PR and they've gone, yeah, we can sneak that out and people 100%. Will think that you're being like sincere and genuine as an individual. Or he's done that off his own back and had a massive wrist slap him because he shouldn't be doing it. But
I don't think he did it off his own back, because there are 8 tweets in a thread. You can sneak one by, but
it's not been deleted, is it?
True.
It's still there. It's
still there
right
too.
Now.
But it's still up.
There.
So, you know.
Exactly.
It's
so for me, like, whatever's going on in the background could be going on, but what the hell kind of way to communicate is this? What are Microsoft playing at? It's just weird.
I mean, why not?
Don't you see they're trying to put it out there, though?
But it's still a political one for Brussels.
Yeah, but it's Twitter. If Jim Ryan has gone to the EU and told a lie, they can say, "It looks a lie. Here's the contract."
Well, let me tell you something.
There's
a reason why.
A lot of it is a PR exercise as well, winning the hearts and minds of gamers.
If you know that it's just like nonsense PR being spoon-fed to the fan base.
That doesn't mean it's a lie, but I'm not saying it would, for him to say that and it to be not true, then Sony would pounce on that. Boom, bad PR. Then it would be bad PR.
Look what it did. Look, He put it out on
true.
Twitter because, again, there's a reason why a lot of people speak on Twitter and get canceled and stuff, right? This stuff goes viral. There's articles written about what this man has wrote on Twitter already. There's tons of articles out there.
Yep. In the articles as well. And it's clever move, but I don't think it's PR because it's true. That's what it is. They would no way spill this out like this if it wasn't true, because it could bite them in the ass.
Yeah, 100%.
But now it goes to show how
100%.
bitter it is. It's really bitter in the background. They are really fighting here. And the Sony and Microsoft will never be friends again.
The question of will they go back to business as normal? Myself and Everborn always debate that as well. And we're not so sure. Like there's always a question of, obviously, to Ace's point, it's business as usual. It's shareholders that matter at the end of the day. But on the flip side, those same shareholders were standing to get a huge payday with this Microsoft acquisition deal. So once they're done there, they're still owning the shares they used to own. And now they're stuck holding the bag because you, Sony, didn't allow them to get their huge payday. I still think there'll be a bit of bad blood. How it manifests, I'm not sure, right? It may just be very much business as usual to the consumers and that's it. But these are still people at the end of the day. And this is $70 billion. If you successfully stop me from getting $70 billion, I won't smile at you next time I see you.
Definitely, for the real life implications are people will lose their jobs if this doesn't go through. Share prices will tank for ABK, Activision, Blizzard.
I think all of this is just par for the course when it comes to situations like this. There's going to be a lot of mudslinging. It's going to happen. Sony has, pointed fingers at Microsoft, calling them liars. They're doing the same thing over at Sony. They're just putting it out in the public because they want it to be a spectacle. Honestly, they kind of want to throw mud like that in the public side because, again, they're going to be defending themselves. But at the same time, you have to realize too, all of these companies lie to an extent. Okay. I'm not saying that Microsoft's not, never lied or never did something disingenuous, but here is an area where I do honestly believe that Jim did lie because this guy would not come out and say something like this. Yeah. Or someone from Sony did this because there's no way the lead of communications would be able to put this out on Twitter in several posts and keep it up.
That has its eyes through Microsoft PR and lawyers and everything. That definitely has. I'll be shocked if this head of comms of his own accord decided to blast an 8-tweet.
They were definitely hoping that this would end up on Forbes or this would end up in the Washington Post, which it probably did. That's what they were hoping for. Yeah,
absolutely. But
Sam Walton, I'm with you, man. I can't wait for all this to be over. I'm so sick of this.
So say we all. So say we all, man.
It's getting ridiculous. And I blame Sony for it as well as the FTC. Face 23 Brooklyn, New York. Thank you again for the $20 super chat. It goes, Microsoft's main argument against Sony's Call of Duty protests doesn't work. I don't understand what that is, but it defied business logic to take away Bethesda's games from PlayStation. But look where we are now. Kesanti, what do you think he's leading to that? I don't know
exactly what he's leading to.
I see what he's saying. Yeah, I see exactly what he's saying. But I'll let you speak on it, Asa. To me, it's you can't compare any of Bethesda's games to the juggernaut that is Call of Duty every year. You just can't. Like even in the conversation where they go, oh, well, Microsoft has agreed to allow PlayStation to have it on PlayStation Plus subscription service. What you don't hear then in the back of mind is, what will Sony have to pay in order for this to get on the service? Because basically you're giving them the money they would have gotten had you paid for it. Did you hear how much money it made last time it came out? $1 billion in like a few days. I don't think that is the world Sony wants to live in. So the idea that, oh, well, the reason why Microsoft's argument is soft because they did it with Bethesda, you could lock every single Bethesda game up forever. Sony would not give two craps. They wouldn't care.
100%.
ABK is a different situation altogether. But go ahead, Asa.
Hey, so what were you thinking his face is talking about?
It's very much the I think it was the third tweet of the thread from this marketing communications, whoever he is fella, said something along the lines of, essentially it's a logical statement, like, of course we're going to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation, it's the #1 platform, so it's just logical that we're going to keep the game there. And there were many responses, but one that he picked up on, saying, well, if the logic is that simple, why doesn't it apply to ZeniMax and Bethesda's games or anything else in Microsoft stable? Like, if the logic is that simple, stick with it. And the head of communications at Microsoft's response was, what?
Was it? Well,
Yes.
the one he was what? So literally. So he said the offending tweet Acer's talking about is this. Frank X. Shaw says Sony is the console market leader and it would defy business logic for us to exclude PlayStation gamers from the Call of Duty ecosystem. And then one guy goes, it defied business logic to take away Bethesda's games from the PlayStation, but look where we are now. And
but you can say that to any game seller selling games on any platform.
But only Microsoft are making that claim.
Why not sell it there?
Only Microsoft are claiming it, though. That's why it's interesting, because it's only because that's people's rebuttal is like, this doesn't apply to Spider-Man as well. Shouldn't Spider-Man be on all platforms? And you could reasonably make that argument, like Microsoft are, but Sony are not, and that's why it's interesting.
Sure.
Like,
I think
Agreed.
The intention is COD, and everything revolves around COD in this legal battle, in the political exercise.
It might do Microsoft better to drop the disingenuous, like, it's simple logic line of thought, because there is clearly two separate lines of logic that you could apply.
COD. I mean, they're not precluded from saying it. It's just the numbers won't make sense for the investment for COD. They're paying $70 billion. It's different from ZeniMax.
Yeah, you're comparing You're comparing a $70 billion acquisition to how much was
7
to 70. Like, there's a difference there, a huge one. So I suspect
absolutely,
that's what matters, you know?
I think they can reasonably utilize that argument. It's the way they've framed it previously, very really romanticized it, but then they're like, what about everything else? They should specify
to Ace's point,
and the money there.
Microsoft likes to button up Microsoft likes to button up their reasons really nice and cleanly with everything. But clearly there are many holes in their nicely buttoned up reason argument, right? Oh, it's logical. Yeah, but there's another path to the left that you guys are pretending doesn't exist. So I do hear you.
We have seen, I can't remember which regulator it was, but one of them has made it very clear that the biggest reason that this is still an issue for them is that Microsoft have said one thing and done another in the past. Like, the ZeniMax deal is what is undermining what they're saying. So as far as the regulator is concerned, this isn't my point. This is a thing that a regulator has said back to them, like, you're saying it's logical, but it was logical then and you didn't do it, so we don't trust you. Is essentially what, I can't remember which one, if that was the EU or if it was the FTC, but one of them has directly said that.
That was the FTC's initial FTC complaint. And then, of course, the FTC complaint about what they said Microsoft and the EU had talked about during the Bethesda purchase, to the point where the EU then had to come out and go, oh, well, hold on, they didn't actually tell us that it was going to be exclusive, and in our estimation, even if it wasn't exclusive, it wasn't going to move the needle either way. So they kind of killed that argument then and there. But the idea that, hey, it's logical for us to sell our games on the #1 platform, so why would we take it off? Yeah, to your point, Asa, that's a very logical argument that you can then make with every other game you make. So maybe just don't make that argument. Makes sense. Yeah, absolutely.
You know what? It's at the end of the day, companies make acquisitions all the time. Companies money hat, both sides money hat. Both sides try to keep games off competing platforms. They both do it. At the end of the day, you guys are right. We've said it a million times. It's about COD. It's about Call of Duty. That's it. That's really what this is all about. They don't want Call of Duty to be, a Microsoft product. That's it. I mean, there's not really much more to say on this topic. We hit this so much all the time. I know that, and it's good we got it out. But at the same time, like we've talked about this topic on several podcasts. We all know it's about Call of Duty.
Wake me up when the decision is made.
Yeah, that's kind of the way I feel on that topic.
Well, I'm obliged to talk about it for a little longer.
I guess it was just interesting to see. it was interesting to see that the head of communications there at Microsoft said what he said. I was like, wow, okay, that's a big
bold and
accusation.
brazen. Yeah,
That's all.
absolutely.
It is brazen.
Yeah.
It is brazen. It's an indication of how things are getting messy, and it's getting really. I said it ages ago. It's going to get really messy. Of course it would. Why wouldn't it? Hoggy with the $10 super chat goes, it doesn't matter if COD is on PlayStation or not, or if it even gets made at all. Is Star Wars too big for Disney to have bought them? It's all nonsense. Xbox hasn't taken away MP games away from PlayStation with ZeniMax. Fair enough. And I agree with you, Huggy. I do think it's nonsense. Bearing on the details, it is nonsense. And ABK, Activision Blizzard, definitely need some saving.
Somebody said I'm trying to save Sony. How am I trying to save Sony with what I said? I'm being honest.
So Fon's trying to save Sony.
I don't get that comment.
What are you listening to?
All right.
I don't know who said that. But anyway, before we go into the details of what was revealed, I wanted to just very vaguely, just broadly, talk about the Xbox and Bethesda Developer Direct. Finally, we got it on Wednesday. Before we talk about specifics, I just would generally ask you, gents, what do you think about the format of the show and how Microsoft executed it? Let me get Asa.
The overall format and execution, I think everyone's going to be on the same page on this one, is that it was fantastic. It had enough depth, and it was concise enough to keep people like engaged throughout, and it was playful. So it just reminded everyone. Obviously, you've got the quality of the games that were in there and the shadow drop that I'm sure we'll get into, but just the whole thing, the whole presentation, the pacing of it, and playful is the word that I'm going to come back to, because it just was. It was a nice watch that reminded me that even pancake games can be good.
Wow. What a
son
diva.
of a oh my God.
Just twist that knife, man. Just twist it.
No, I loved the format. I think the format was a 10 out of 10 to me. I think it was Xbox's best show. Like the way it was presented, everything from the developers, they didn't come off cringe. You know how some of these developers, sometimes you'll watch a show and they'll go to the developer and they don't really know what to say, or they're just like, "Hi guys, and we're here to show," and it just doesn't come off the right way. Here, it was cool. It was really well done. They made some of these developers look cool when in reality we all know they're like us, they're nerds, but they were like presented in a great light, and I thought that it was really cool to see that they didn't let them talk too long. They went to a gameplay. They showed their games off. And it was just like, boom, one right after the other. It was just like game. That's what we've been asking for how long? We've been saying, look at what they're doing with State of Play with Sony. Look at what they're doing with Directs with Nintendo. Can you please adopt that? We've been saying this for years. They finally did it, and they freaking smashed it. I think they did it better than they did. Than Nintendo or Sony. I think this is the best format, period, bar none. Not a fanboy here, but I'm telling you from just an older gamer like myself, watching the shows, that's how you do a direct. That's how you do it.
Listening, Microsoft, of course you are, because actually Aaron Greenberg did say, we hear the positive reception. This is the winning formula. So keep doing it. And I wonder if... we're going to see, they should become, it's quite resoundingly strong case, aren't they? No, this is the format. Why would they now deviate? Do you reckon we'll see a couple of these sprinkled a year?
Yeah, I completely agree wholeheartedly. This is the format, right? And this is how it should be done, right? And I agree with Fonz that, of course, having the developers speak themselves is always great, but it's also calibrating how they speak. That's also good. The last time they spoke unfettered, people just was like, nope, we're not here for that. To be fair, that was a third-party indie showcase, fine, right? And this is first-party folks, more professional, more Microsoft people by and large, so they're probably more press-trained and all of that, which is fine. But yeah, to the format, absolutely, that's how it should be. I think that it should, to your point as to should we get a few more of these, this is how I think it should go moving forward. Like, to me, and we'll talk about the details of this show, but just in general, to me, you show us these kind of things, right? You put some meat on the bones as to what we saw at E3 last time, right? And then E3 comes out, right? Maybe you after this, maybe you show one or two individuals showing the big games that deserve their own, a la Starfield, right? Then E3 proper comes. I have the unpopular opinion of, if you want to do this is the next 12 more months, I'm fine with it, as long as you give me 3 formats. The direct format, which I have now, right? The full showcase of E3, which I will get in E3 timeframe. And then I want a different one that gives me games that I will see that are new announcements that are beyond the 12-month format. This one would be for, hey, moonshots. This is 6 years down the line. This
Absolutely.
is 5. This is 4.
See,
and they can be few and far between. I'm not saying that you have to have them coming left and right? But there has to be a place where games that don't fit that narrative get shown, even if it's once or twice.
I think outside of E3, I think the directs are the way to go with every other show. I think they should do developer for directs like every 3 to 4 months. Have a direct show. You don't necessarily need to do a deep dive.
They'll run out of things to say every
No, you can all run out of things to say. Look how many studios they got. They could always provide
with what do you call it? Inside Xbox.
They could
every 3 to 4 months, and they ran out of things
don't
to
even
say,
compare Inside Xbox to this. This is completely different. And you could even make these directs even smaller. They don't have to run 40 something minutes. They could be a 20-minute thing, and they could focus on one game even. That's the thing. This is what they need to do going forward. I like the format so much. They better just emulate this in everything that they do.
My only question about this format and what they've done up until now is, with the exception of Hi-Fi Rush, which I'm sure we'll get into, we keep regurgitating of the same code names, the same announced games over and over and over and over again. And the format that Microsoft and Xbox has put forth only allows for that. Well,
here's the thing.
In the next 12 months.
I would say they could do 2 directs a year.
Another thing that is beyond the 12-month thing.
I agree with. I don't like the 12-month thing, period. But I think that they could do 2 directs a year easily, and the E3 show. I think those can be done easily.
I completely agree. I'm just talking about the content that is in those shows. I agree with you that they should do 2 directs, right? And an E3 show. And I think they can even add in the occasional direct for big games by themselves.
Deep dive. Just a regular deep dive. Yeah.
And
like
even
Starfield is going to be like
Yep.
Yeah, and even community events. All that is fair game. I just think if they want to stick with that, hey, here we are at E3. What you're about to see now is only 12 months, which I know they did that last time. We don't know if they'll do that this time, but there is an argument to be made. There is an argument to be made that if you want to set up expectations accordingly moving forward, it could just be that every E3 show is what you're seeing for the next 12 months. I would be okay with that. I would. Give me beyond that show. Give me one later down the line, or maybe during the Keeleys or something. That's where you show me the things that are further out. That is your cadence.
I think that's fine.
I just think 2 directs a year and an E3 would be sufficient enough to keep fans happy and motivated in seeing what's coming. Because the thing is a lot of times we sit here and we're waiting for Sony or Microsoft to say something, and months go by and nothing's said, and everybody's like, the Xbox has nothing. Sony can get away with it because they usually drop a game, right? So it's different for them, because I have my suspicion is that this year Sony only has right now one first-party game coming out at the end of the year, and that's Spider-Man 2. That's the only thing that's been announced so far. I have a suspicion, though, they are going to do a big show or announce something big soon. This year, they're going to announce something big coming to get their fan base, all excited again. This is what they do. This is what Microsoft needs to do. And these directs, they help with that, man. They help get that hype going. And it's just, I love it, man. I loved what they did. I love the whole presentation.
Absolutely. I think most people will have been unanimous in their
And that's
praise
not to say
for
that I
the
liked
format.
every game that was shown, because I didn't, but I loved the way they showed them. They were showcased
really
well.
quickly, like on the formats and all the rest of it. I agree, by the way. I'm with Santi. I think 12 months is a good window to actually talk about games. There are challenges in terms of long-term marketing cycles and the fact that everything is going to leak through job listings and all the rest of it. But format is good. But I will also say that the format is so secondary to actually releasing good games in the first place. So if the format was terrible, if Phil Spencer came on stage and said, "Here are the games that we are releasing," and there was a spreadsheet on screen, it wouldn't be great. But the games are the important bit. And what really shone through is that they do have games. So they've got the fun and the presentation and all the rest of it. But they've got games coming, and that is so much more important. Let's talk about the games, Gaz.
Damn. Finally, right?
Well, we will do. But before we talk about the games, and we're about to talk about the games, Ace Out Gaming with a $5 super chat really needs to hear you say with your amazing voice, Starfield. Come on.
Starfield. All right, there you go.
Ace Out, I hope you're happy.
I like
Shout
the
out.
harmonizing. Good harmonizing.
I got to put the Starfield music on. It's such a good soundtrack, man. Already.
And shout out to James for being a member. Yeah! There was a reverb there, so that just ruined it. But James, welcome. Welcome to the Familia. Now you get to use, oh, there you go, source emojis and look earlier to get an early glimpse at our videos, which I'm going to start doing, like Colt Eastwood does, like 12 hours before. Shout out to you. Thank you for your support. It makes a big difference. Games.
Yes, let's talk about the games. Asa needs to go soon.
game.
We need to talk about games.
Oh, yeah, it's true. It's true. We have to talk about this one. This one, I think this game changed everything in terms of the perception of the developer direct. When everyone was saying Xbox has no games, Xbox decided to shadow drop a game. Shadow drop is always a big dick move. It's like, yo, like this is it. Bam! And if it has any semblance of quality, then it just enhances it. Now, Hi-Fi Rush, a game which I need to play a little bit more of, but I really enjoyed. Can't play in party chat because it's based on Hi-Fi Rush is an action. Well, it's a strange one. Brought to you by Tango Game Works. I think that's their studio
Tango
name.
Gameworks.
Japanese outfit. Xbox first party, part of the ZeniMax acquisition, and it delivered this very. Everyone says it's Sunset Overdrive, but it's nothing like Sunset Overdrive other than visually. It shares the styles, but it's an action rhythm-based game. Think Metal Hellsinger, but with more anime melee look.
There are very few games in this genre. Think, what is it? Crypt of the Necrodancer. That was one of the first ones that ever did it.
What?
Yeah, that's what it's called. Crypt of the Necrodancer. Everything moves to the beat. You slay to the beat. Everything is to the beat. And then the team that made that got on the attention of Nintendo, and they did Cadence of Hyrule for any Nintendo fans who like it. It's basically a Zelda game where you're same thing, slaying to the beat. And then Metal Hellsinger, and now this guy. It's very small lineage of these kind of action slay to the beat kind of games, and it's really cool, you know.
And that's probably maybe why they shadow dropped it, because it has like a niche appeal, but because it's amazing, because that being shadow dropped really brought it to the forefront of a lot of people's attention. They were watching it. My friends list was full of almost everyone playing Hi-Fi Rush, and I wonder if they did a typical announce and thing, would it work as much? To me, it served as an extra little goodie that I wasn't expecting.
Somebody wrote, "I have no rhythm" in the chat.
Why do they say that?
No, because it's a rhythm-based game.
That's deep.
Fods
has loads of rhythm.
No. He said he has no rhythm.
He doesn't have rhythm.
Oh, he has no rhythm. I was going to be like, why coming at Fods for that? Asa, speaking of no rhythm, do you like this game?
My rhythm is on point. I love this game. So I mentioned
snap.
towards the end of last year that I really like Metal Hellsinger as well. And this game has made me realize that actually it's not a one-off. If a game, there's something about it, if it is forcing me to focus on a rhythm and try and play to a beat whilst also taking in all the action on the screen and trying to interact with it, it kind of like disconnects the stress center of my brain. And for the entire time that I'm sunk in and invested in that game, it's like nirvana, and I'm just having a great time. So Hi-Fi Rush it's a really nice one for me. I'm well impressed with it. I love the fact that it's so different. It's so Dreamcasty in its vibes. It's like the studio that Microsoft picked up by accident with no intention to like, they're obviously very much second fiddle in the ZeniMax acquisition. They're part of the team, but Microsoft wanted like Skyrim and Doom. So it's a great release for me. It's also, it speaks loads of interesting things to the marketing cycle in general, being the shadow drop that it was. And it's been really nice to see around Twitter as well, the various marketing things from Bethesda, from Xbox, and from Tango, like celebrating what they can do in the absence of leaks. So there's a lot of conversations around that as well. But yes, Hi-Fi Rush, really, really enjoyable for me. Nothing like Sunset Overdrive, like you say. But yeah, great game. What about you, Kaya-san? Are you all over it?
Oh, I was a musician in a former life. I have music sequencers here. Like, this is catnip for me. Like, that's why, for those, and I see people going, how does he know so many rhythm games? This is what I do. I have all my plastic instruments still in my garage. I'm still there the day they decide to turn Guitar Hero and Rock Band back on. I have all of that stuff. I love me some rhythm games. And excuse me for not recognizing when I scrolled off all these games. Excuse me for not recognizing the OG of these, Parappa the Rapper, right? Or even in the new school, like you were saying, Asa, you like games that work with rhythm and it really puts you in a state of zen. And there's no game that gave me that more than Sound Shapes. I don't know if you ever played that. It was on PS3, it was on PS4, it was on Vita. It was on Vita. Same idea here. Everything, the entire world moves to the beat. You move to the beat. You know, everything is to the beat, right? And this game does that in such an amazing way. And of course, they chose the art style they chose makes it kind of evergreen. You know, if I don't know if it's a topic of conversation here, but if you guys watched the Phil Spencer interview, he literally like made me fall out of my seat when he called out the only game that, and y'all follow me on Twitter so you know, the only game that I'm on my own square, literally constantly like just waving the flag. Where the heck is Jet Set Radio Future? Where is it?
You mentioned that.
Right? I have been like, the people saw me on Twitter, like putting it on the Steam Deck. I literally emulated it on the Steam Deck because I need to play that game again. And he referenced that, right? And this game really pulls its visual style from that ilk. So to me, it's absolutely excellent. It's an excellent game. I love it. What's the other one? There's, as you know, as I said, I'm into the music game, so I keep my eyes on them that come out. What is it? I think it's hard to pronounce. Cyberfunk? I forget the name of the game. It is another spiritual successor to your Jet Set Radio, which is also very music driven.
Something Rush Cyberfunk. Yeah,
Bomb Funk Cyberfunk or something like that.
That's it. Bomb Funk Cyberfunk.
Another one I've been like waiting for. Bomb Rush Cyberfunk. That's it. Bomb Rush Cyberfunk. Who comes up with these names? But yeah. I'm looking forward to it, you know? And these guys really threaded it absolutely well. To the gentleman that said that you don't have any rhythm, still try playing the game. One thing they do very well, if you are good with these games, all you see is a little metronome on the side in the form of a cat. If you're not that good in these games, you can turn the whole thing on and the whole UI will be to the time, showing you when to strike, right? They know, and even in the game, they mention it multiple times. Well, you know, if you don't know, if you need assistance, you could press this or press that. They know that not everybody is, some people are rhythmically challenged. So you know, they account for that. So I think it's really cool. Like, I love that this game exists. I love that it came out of left field, right? And it's damn good, right? Even in Game Pass. It's in Game Pass and it's still selling out on Steam, selling out everywhere. So I'm happy with it. It's great.
It's from a studio, Fonz, that not a lot of people were expecting to come out. So
Tango Gameworks. Yeah, they made Evil Within, you know, and everybody's like waiting for Evil Within 3. You know, but this is something that, of course, they wanted to make, and Microsoft allowed them to. I personally am not a big fan of the game. I'm not a big fan of rhythm games. That's not totally true. I loved Rock Band back in the day, but I loved it more because I played that with my family. I played it with my kids. We used to rock out every weekend. We'd sit there and jam out to all the different songs and everything. We had the whole setup, you know, the guitar, the bass, the drums, the microphone. We did it all. It was a fun time. It was like a family activity thing. This, I don't play rhythm games by myself. I don't like the whole, you know, hitting a button on the beat. It's just, I tried like Hellsinger and stuff. I couldn't Metal Hellsinger. I couldn't get into it. So this isn't for me. But the one thing I will say, though, that is I could tell this game exudes quality, period. The art style may not be for everybody, but it is quality, and it looks amazing to me. Like, it looks, for what it is, it's a fantastic game that they shadow dropped. That is what's crazy, is that they just freaking said, you know what? This is out today, guys. And they dropped it in a time where we get games that are broken or buggy consistently. This game was quality. And this is a game that appeals to so many people out there. And let's face it, this is not some sort of game that you would see typically on Microsoft really push. This reminds me of like the PS2 or PS3 era of gaming. You know what I'm saying? Or even going back to Dreamcast. This does not seem like a Microsoft game at all, but that's the beauty of it for Microsoft. They are pushing games out for everyone. And I think what this does is it marks a date in time, 2023, January 25th. Microsoft has started their year out fantastically. Sorry, this is a fantastic start for them.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, I have to give Justin Duel for joining the family. Thank you so much, Dustin. Welcome, and I hope you enjoy your stay. Doc, I see you. I don't know if Asa will be able to run the show and play your clip with sound. Asa, I did send it to you via WhatsApp. It's a funny 1 minute video.
WhatsApp. What am I going to do with WhatsApp?
What do you want me to do? Where do you want me to send it?
Twitter. Send it on Twitter and I'll grab it.
All right, wicked. Yeah, you
While
tell me.
you're doing that, one last thing. The other thing on Hi-Fi Rush that is interesting is, so it was kind of started before Microsoft were there, but they were very instrumental in the way that it dropped and the fact that it's on Game Pass and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
But it's also outside of Game Pass. It's a £30, £30, €30 game with no physical edition. Isn't that interesting? Price-wise, Fonz, as a man who's passionate about the $70 games, 30 is a better price, right?
Oh, heck, great price, Asa. Great price.
It is. It's the £8 in the UK.
And people love throwing the slander that they see it on Steam that's much higher in the rankings than Forspoken, even though that was a $70 game. You know.
Well, let's get something straight too. There are plenty of AA games out there that are better than many AAA games. Period. Sure, there's a bigger budget for AAA games, but there are a lot of fantastic AA games. Fonz doesn't look past that, guys. I don't look past that.
Depending on how you categorize great like games, whether it be AA or single A or AAA, I would say Vampire Survivors, ladies and gentlemen. The game that was made with peanuts and still sold like ridiculous amounts of money. So it's not necessarily about the pixels you put in and all of that. It's about how you craft your creativity.
Funny? You know what's funny about Hi-Fi Rush is all the negativity that you see, it's mainly from the Sony fanboy side, right? But the funny part is this feels like such a Sony game. That's the way it looks. That's the way it appears. Like, if this had been shadow dropped on PlayStation 5, they'd be all over it. I mean, hell, they were talking up Destruction All-Stars at $70 when that dropped. Jeez. Like, it's just funny to me. It's like, come on, you're not being genuine, guys, talking crap about this game, because you guys would have been all over it.
I've seen a few people. Last bit of sauce from me. I've seen a few people on Twitter. First off, talk about it was made since it was first. What was it? They pitched it in 2017.
They were working on it before the acquisition.
Yeah, it was pitched in 2017 based on the narrative of the director. So now people are saying it's a good game, but it can't be counted as a Microsoft game.
Yeah, what sad. I've seen the same basic bitch like peons completely recycled.
I thought that was pretty hilarious. Yes,
I thought it was just lame. Tom909 with a £5 super chat goes, would many people be talking talking about the format. If Hi-Fi Rush was shite and released in a broken state, yes, absolutely. That format has nothing to do with the quality of Hi-Fi Rush. We were reacted the way we did without even playing the game. So I mean, I remember you could see that.
What I will say to his question, I will twist his question and say, would people be as happy with this whole situation if Hi-Fi Rush wasn't released and they still did not give you a release date for Forza Motorsport? I think they did one of these switcheroos on you. No release date, but here's Hi-Fi Rush. And people went, yay, which was a good move, Microsoft. It's a good move.
No, I think it was completely ready to drop, though.
I don't think they Yeah.
Oh, no,
I think it was already something that was completely ready to drop.
Oh,
so they
no
dropped
doubt,
it.
no doubt.
Because again, I've heard nobody complain about quality issues at all with the game.
Yeah. Oh, the game has been out for a few days now. There has not been a single patch released. It is rock solid on every system it's on. It's great.
You don't understand how happy that makes me in a day and age where most games are just coming out broken. We really
bro.
We're getting to the point where
on the Steam Deck.
We've gotten to the point. Yeah, but we've gotten to the point where we're expecting bugs in every game.
Oh yeah.
And that's not the way. That's not the way as consumers that we should be thinking at all. We should be freaking like this game should run perfect day one.
You're gonna hate Starfield.
But here's the thing. I understand bugs happen. I didn't say I would hate anything, Asa. But that's the thing. I've gotten to the point where I accept all these bugs, and it's not right. It shouldn't be like that.
What about Starfield that you always sing with
I've always
reverb?
played
You must
Bethesda.
hate
I've
that
always
game.
played Bethesda games, and I've experienced their bugs, sir. Coming out and seeing the Traveler with this freaking big cow on top of the roof of a house, and I'm like, how do I get up there and buy shit, man? But things happen.
The only bit of to be fair, because I'm that guy. I'm the to be fair guy. To be fair, you can read the bugs as the state that we're in, or you can also read it as, at least how I read it, is that as we get more and more complex, as hardware gets more and more powerful, developers have bigger visions. They're bolder, right? Everybody knows that Bethesda's games are systems upon systems upon systems upon systems. So in that world, expecting a Hi-Fi Rush quality for Starfield is impossible. That means you have to have them play test this game for 10 years to find all the bugs before they tell you about it. You know what I mean?
With 1,000 procedural generated worlds.
You're speaking facts there. Yep.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, but Starfield will give them allowance because of what they're doing. Not many people are doing what they're doing.
But you know what it comes down to? There's sometimes when a game releases and it may be buggy, but it's not game breaking, and that's cool. But there's some games that drop and they're completely destroyed. Like the developers knew when they dropped it, it wasn't ready to go out. And that is the kind of stuff that I think that is just
no
wrong,
doubt,
completely
absolutely.
wrong.
Yeah, we've
100%.
seen quite a fair bit of that. They can name multiple examples this gen already. Peter Morley, thank you for being a member for 12 months. He says, I hope Starfield will be awesome. So many disappointing games lately.
It will be.
50% considering dropping to casual gamer if it isn't brilliant. It will be great, then he says.
It'll be amazing. Trust me.
Yes, it will be. A shout out to Hoggy, who has dropped a Dead Space global code. Yeah! Shout out, Hoggy!
Is Dr. Dre going to come after you for all of this?
Oh yeah,
didn't he sell his rights to Universal? Universal's coming after him.
Let him come after me. Reverse World, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Hi-Fi got more hype at the Developer Direct than it would have at the Tokyo Game the TGA's, the Game Awards. Yes, absolutely. And if they showed Starfield, for instance, that would have completely eclipsed most of the things. So it's good that the way they're doing it. Gerald Mack, thank you for the $2 super chat. Shout out to the God Podcast. Salute, gentlemen. Thank you so much, Gerald, for that super chat. Hi-Fi Rush is a great example. Hopefully we see a lot more of that. I did get some heat on Twitter for saying it's significant. I stand by it. It's significant if Xbox can capitalize on that goodwill and show that it is tactile with its first-party slate, which on paper it should be. because this year you got whatever the hell Hi-Fi Rush has beat with the game. You can get a space RPG, you're getting a sim racer, you're getting a 4-player or single-player shooter co-op from Ark Austin. It's very, very impressive if all of them hit well. Then we got Redfall. Now Redfall has got some weird reactions. Tony Polanco, I don't know who he writes for, he comes up on my feed. He thinks it's mid. Other people thought it was good. Some people said the gunplay isn't that good, and I don't understand. I thought Redfall looked extremely polished, looked a lot of fun, and visually decent. Not obviously screams next gen, but I saw some people comparing the CGI cutscene to the in-game thing, and I'm like, have you lost some brain cells?
Yeah,
they probably have. But Fonzarelli Gaming, or Fonz Gaming as you're now known, Redfall. Are you excited for it? Did it show off well to you?
I think it showed off well. Yeah, I think it did. I like the way this game is shaping up to be a fun open world game where you shoot and kill a bunch of freaking vampires. Like you get different weapons, you have attachments, you have upgrades. It has everything I like in an open world game so far. So I'm looking forward to it. The art style is not my big thing. I prefer more realistic looking open world games, but you know what? I can overlook the art style. For what they're going for here, I think it looks great. I don't think it looks bad. I've heard some people say, it doesn't look like it has enough textures or shadows. I thought it looked really good for the art style. I don't have any issue with the way it looks. Maybe the running animations are a little jank, but again, it's not mocap. It's their art style. So I don't know, man. At the end of the day, I'm more excited about this game now than I was previously. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
And I've heard that a lot. A lot of people didn't obviously read, or they don't have to, but they didn't read the games radar interview, and this one was quite comprehensive in showing quite a lot of things.
Look at that. There's a lot going on in the environments and stuff. It looks cool. It llooks nice. No, absolutely. It looks quality to me.
Quality. K-A-S-A-N-T. Talk to me. I didn't swear. What are your thoughts after this game? Did it show well to you?
It absolutely showed well to me. Well, okay. Just so you guys know where I'm coming from to this game from, they had me at Arcane. I am an Arcade stan. I worship at the altar of Arcane.
I am not. That's the difference.
And that there are these are the different thoughts of the different gamers. I completely understand that, and I understand how some make thoughts or perceptions of arcane games without knowing it's an arcane game. Because if you come to an arcane game and you go, it has bad shooting, you don't know it's an arcane game because it's not about the shooting, right?
But this that's the difference
from that. Well, but that's the thing, we don't know what this is. Deathloop suffered from that because you came in going, it's a shooter, and it was floaty and you needed to mess with it. And it's true that they are not skilled at first person shooter gunplay, but that's not what they're there for, right? Deathloop was a people puzzle. That's what it was. How you can get everyone in the same area at the same time while following the loop of time back and forth. It is all in FPS clothing, which then, of course, unfortunately, leaves them susceptible to comparison against the best of FPSs. It's a problem, right? In this instance, to me, specifically here, this harkens to me more back to the arcane of Dishonored 2, where it's like, here you are, we present you with this issue and tackle it any way you want, right? You want to tackle it sneaky? Go for it. You want to go in guns blazing? Go for it. You want to sneak under the house and drop the bomb and then run away and then hit the button while you're sniping? You can do all of that. It's what they do. It's about giving you the tools in the sandbox and watching you go loose with it, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately for Arcane, because they do that so well, and that's their aim, people go, well, what about the RPG systems? They weren't fully fleshed out. What about the shooting? They weren't fully fleshed out. Yeah, those are there for window dressing, but that's not what their expertise is, right? So that's why I'm actually really happy to hear that they're working more and more with studios like id, right? They've been working with id for a while, but that's why I'm happy that they're working more and more, and they talk about working with id because they know that people complain about their shooting, and they are secure in themselves knowing what they bring, that if the shooting is what's stopping you from liking it, we'll get id to fix the shooting for you, right? But we're here to show you the crazy world of Arcane, and to me, like, I was in. My only issue when I saw this game was, oh no, is Arcane going to break their formula? Are they not going to give me what I want in this world? And this specific conversations they've had about it and all of that tells me that's not the case, right? The developers literally have come out and said they started it as their single player game, as they always do, and then they added the other stuff on top later. I want to be able to go through this entire game by myself if I want to.
Me too.
And it shouldn't feel like a detriment if I do so. And it sounds exactly like that's what they're going to do here. And that's where the comparison to like Left 4 Dead was kind of like, oh, disappointing, because you can't play that game by yourself, right? So I am super, super excited about this game. I am day one on this game. I was, because it's Arcane and Arcane is great. But now I'm even more excited because they're filling in the gaps, telling me why I should. What I would like to see is that it's supposed to be a looter shooter. Show me more of the loot. Show me why it's special. Show me what differences that loot makes it to the environment. They haven't really shown that much yet. But besides that, I think it's awesome.
Perhaps. Well, some people did say that they showed too much, and they were thinking a little bit more of too much of the single player. I don't think it was that bad, but I get where you're coming from. So there's a balance there. Some people always complain. I like how quickly she climbs the ladder there. But in terms of the loot shooter element of it, the written interview does go on to say that you don't want to hold on to the same guns twice. Every gun has its own unique characteristics you'll find on the world. Will have a
the King looter shooters, shooters in Borderlands. If you recall some of their gameplays, or sometimes when they're showing you like deep dives, they spend 5 minutes just on all the crazy guns they have. I'm not saying do that, but show me the various creative different tools you have to the disposal so we can go in there and what they do and how, I've seen them use their powers to create like elevators in thin air. I've seen them show me more of those gadgetries. I dig stuff like that. It's great. It's great.
You're right, because I saw like they even like focused in on some of the attachments to some of the weapons, some of the knives and different various things you can put on the end of the weapon. But they didn't really go into detail on what the differences were or what changes,
what they do, and all that. That's what I
let the players discover that. I think some things you want to hold close to your chest.
Discovery that you want. Yeah.
And one thing I noticed in this gameplay, and Asa, we talked about it a while ago, is that they don't have a HUD when they show off the gameplay, and I hope a lot of it. I mean, do you think it's for cinematic flair, Asa, or do you think it
suspect that you're right? It would be great if it actually looks like that. I suspect it is for cinematic flair. There's quite a lot to say on what they've shown here for me. A lot of people have been talking about the visuals of it. For me, I love that the world looks so deliberately crafted, and they talked a lot about it being handcrafted, but every scene just has everything so meticulously placed and everything looks interesting, which isn't the case in a lot of open world games. So I love that about it.
Yes.
The art style, I've said before that the art style has like a timeless quality. So Fons was saying he likes things to look more realistic. I'm actually quite a fan of things that look like this that will still look brilliant in like 10 years time, except the torch. This game would look so good if it had proper light casting, shadow casting light sources. Yeah. So the torch is like, it's really jarring to me. The torch just looks weird because you have things in front of it and they don't cast any shadow behind. And I don't really understand. Like, we've had torches casting shadows for a long time, so that's a shame to me. But apart from that, most of what it's doing looks really, really good. The gameplay wise, up to this point, everything that they'd showed very little in terms of enemies, and I was a little concerned that actually the world might feel a little bare and boring in terms of combat, because you never see more enemies than you do players, and that was a little bit of a concern. But they've kind of alleviated that one for me, in that most of the kind of pacing of the gameplay looked about right. It looked fun, but they've added some new concerns when they started talking about districts, and they started talking about it like it's a Ubisoft game. They started talking about how you can go to one district and you do this set of submissions, and then you can go to there and you can do this vampire god, and then you go to a different district and you do the equivalent set of submissions.
They definitely did compare it to Far Cry 2, right?
But Far Cry 2 was supposed to be
Ubisoft.
less. Not that Ubisoft hadn't quite refined that formula to this extent at that point in time. Hopefully, I do not like the Ubisoft formula. So when they start talking about districts and repetition, then I'm like,
See,
I hope
I don't mind the
not boring, but
Ubisoft
I'm not
formula.
sure.
I'm one of the people that like Ubisoft open world games. So
Boo! Boo,
you know.
Fonz.
Obviously, a lot of people do, or they wouldn't keep doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Alvin, thank you for the $5 super chat. Because remember the internal 6 week delay for Redfall that landed it on May the 2nd. It was directly getting out of the way for Starfield in March. Logical, in my opinion. We'll touch upon that a bit, especially with you, Fonz. Antagonist 33, thank you for the $2 super chat. Hi-Fi is amazing once you progress its DMC combat. I've seen quite the video that's doing the rounds of that chat, pulling up some pretty cool combos. So I definitely need to try that. There's a lot to play. Isla McGonads. She thank you for member 7 months. She goes, I feel bad for anyone who missed Ace's banger of a video, which is the PlayStation story template where he shows his inner Xbot. You have to check out Ace's channel. Let's linked it there. It is a very funny video. Definitely check it out, guys, if you haven't. With some green screen trickery and all kind of technical stuff that I could never do. Red Wolf, thank you for the $2 super chat. Goes, what if Xbox Shadow drops Starfield next? No chance. Can we talk about this now? Fonz, I've seen so many people talk about Starfield coming out in March. As of this game,
CD keys. Don't listen to those guys. They've had listed Dead Island 2 is dropping in December of 2018. Like, it's not coming in March, guys. We're getting the show in March. The deep dive is coming in March. Trust me. And when that is shown in March, expect at least another 3 months after that before we see Starfield launch. Because the marketing is going to ramp up after that deep dive. We haven't even seen the marketing yet. So think about that a minute. Why do you think that they would spend so much in marketing these days for these games? Because it works. It gets people to buy the games. Without marketing, and you just shadow drop something as big as Starfield, you're not going to get as many people buying it day one. You know, you're not. It's just that simple. So marketing takes several months, and we're not going to see that until really March.
Okay. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Starfield release day. I'll talk about that. I don't think it's going to make it. And speaking of which,
I think it's September, by the way.
This guy comes out of nowhere. And the Randall Thor 19, his ears were like tickling as soon as we talked Starfield. He goes, Gaz, Fonz, Asante, thank you, Rand, for the super chat. And Asa, I guess. He said, I guess. I'm going to take that. You see that now?
For now,
see that?
Revenge is best served cold, Gaz. Cold. You just wait around.
Because Dead Space Remake is so good. It is. And Hi-Fi Rush is awesome. It is. Rand, we were talking about Starfield. I was trying to do a poll, but people are split. People
still really believe it's in March, and that's just crazy talk, guys. It's not coming in March.
Let me do a poll. It can't be crazy talk.
It's crazy talk. It's ridiculous.
Let me set a poll. Starfield, is it coming out before June? And I'll say yes and no, because I can't be asked to do all the other months.
Deep dives and trailers aren't marketing. That's not marketing, guy.
The question you're asking, guys, is Microsoft keeping their promise with it? I think that's what a big thing that's driving that conversation.
Okay, that's a good question, KSLT. Okay, I'll tell you why. They're not going to keep it. And you know what that does? Instantly curses the 12-month plan.
I know.
It does, because now
doesn't it already stop it from Forza not releasing in time either? I mean,
and that's the next topic, and we'll talk about that
you can say, hey, we need more time with Forza, right? People will give you a pass on that. But if you do that and you also don't release Starfield in the window you promised, oh boy, the smoke will fly, and I will once again be with my popcorn. Like, what up? Because it'll be deserved, right? I mean,
Yeah, they should have never done that.
Read what
Exactly.
Rand is saying. He says if Starfield comes out in March, he has to give $500 to his patrons. What each
yes, and to Pong Soul. I remember that bet. Yes,
that's
yes.
not happening.
Pong Soul.
Damn. My battery's running out.
And why do people want to push this game out so bad if it's not ready? I mean, let the devs have time with it. Let them get it polished up as much as possible, because when it drops, it's going to have some bugs. I mean, it's Bethesda. I don't want any game-breaking bugs. I want this game to be as polished as possible. So, in my opinion, I think it's not going to come out by June, and so therefore, it's not going to drop in the summer months. You're not going to get it in July or August. It's going to come out in September. That is my guess.
So, Fonz, I've said this on a few shows, and I'll say this here. I think it's because you're asking, why do people want this thing to come out so quickly, so badly? I think it's because both in the community and on the podcast, you have people with pitchforks that have been sharpened that are just off frame. They haven't grabbed them yet. They're just right there. They're ready to grab them because they've been on this train of, but you promised, we all know that a delayed game eventually becomes a great game once you put the time and effort in. But
the bloody stupid Shigeru Miyamoto deserves a slap for that stupid quote.
They're so stuck on that promise that it's making them go, I'm going to grab the pitchfork. Are you releasing it? That's what they're doing.
Because most Xbox guys have nothing to play, right? They're waiting for all these games. So here's the thing. No, here's the thing. They're waiting for the perception, anyway. I should state it like that. There's a perception out there that Xbox has no games. So they want these games to come out right now, right? But by the time this game launches, you'd had already have played Wolong Fallen Dynasty. You've got Atomic Heart.
Atomic Heart.
You've got Atomic Heart. You've got Redfall. You've got games that you're going to be playing before then. Like, it's not like Xbox has no games this year. It's a great year for Xbox.
I think we're all in agreement when we say Microsoft should be smart and break their promise. But do it soon. Like, just be out in front with it and just say, look, we need more time.
They're going to break the news in March.
Like, break it, rather than keeping people on the hook for so long to ready to be pitchforking later. You're like, just break the promise. Move forward,
Chat is very split. Black Ronin 357, thank you for the $10 super chat. Goes, what do you mean, Fonz? Starfield had a ton of marketing already with quick dives and trailers.
That's not marketing. Trailers and deep dives aren't marketing.
Anyone in the know is getting this game day one.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone in the know. Casuals aren't watching the deep dives. They're not.
I agree with you. I think you need to market this game. This is Xbox's biggest game coming out. That will stand as an example of hopefully.
Go tell King David that it's not coming out. that Microsoft is breaking. His pitchforks are right off frame. Like, seriously.
King David also told me last year that he would eat crow if Forza didn't drop last year.
Oh, wow.
On my show, but that didn't happen.
What's going on? Red Wolf, thank you for this being member for 6 months. He goes, it was kind of a joke question, but I agree. Hoggy mentioned time for pre-orders, collection edition merch. It makes no sense to shadow drop. It makes no sense to shadow drop Starfield.
No, you don't shadow drop a big AAA.
People seriously think they're going to shadow drop Starfield? I mean, even in Phil Spencer's interview, when they asked him about the shadow drop, he himself said it was good for Hi-Fi Rush, but we can't do that for every game. I knew he was talking about Starfield.
Absolutely. If Starfield comes out in I don't know, but we're all making guesses. I will have live on air the hottest, chilliest. What are those little crisps? What are they called? You call them chips.
The hot chip challenge.
Hot chip challenge.
Yes, guys, it's all about you. Everything is about you. Move on.
No. Wait, Alvin also with a $5 super chat says, I have to keep them entertained, Asa. Is that with a $5 super chat? Goes, watch it. This is interesting. So, chat, a lot of people are strongly of the opinion this will come out in March. Alvin with the $5 super chat goes,
ridiculous.
watching the mass pivot among the community when it does launch March 23rd. 23rd, we got a specific date, is going to be, as that the thing, isn't it? Is going to be genuinely hilarious, because I get why folks are so pensive. He knows. Alvin says he knows. Alvin, I'm going to remember that. I'm
calling all of these guys marchers from now on. They're all marchers to me. And you guys are all ridiculous. This game's not dropping in March. We're getting the deep dive in March. They're not going to drop it right after the deep dive, guys.
You heard what Rand called them, the cabal, the cabal that Pong Soul
you better be
the leader of, you know.
I will DDT you from the top row.
Wait. Does Pong actually believe it's dropping in March too? He's a marcher?
Oh, they are like militant in their belief.
I've got him on my show tomorrow. We're going to have a field day with that topic.
Oh, that's going to be fun.
I can't wait to watch that, bro. That's amazing.
That's going to be fun. Before we go, okay, so, that's enough Starfield, but it was good fun. Like, I'm with you, Fonz. And Rand knows his shit, so I'm with Rand. But if there's one weakness, also a strength in the show, it was Forza, because Forza Motorsport got a more of a look and very, not divisive. I thought it was showed beautifully.
It looks incredible.
So it looks so good that it caused some anguish on the streets, yo. And it showed what I've always said, GT versus Forza. Now, you don't bring your VR stuff in here. Forget that. We get it. GT is going to be the best because it has VR. But humor us. Non-pancake gamers, does this look like one of the best races? Like, this is better looking than GT7. Surely your eyes work enough. They work at 8K.
I really don't know what dark corner of the internet where you've seen anybody dispute that. Because it's like night and day. And I'll say, like, yes, I talk about the VR thing a lot, and it means a lot to me. And I think that is a valid conversation as an experience as well. But the pancake experience is valid too. More people are going to be playing it on Pancake. So that conversation also has its merit. And for me, Forza has been better than Gran Turismo since it came on the scene. And Gran Turismo 7, the Pancake version of it, both IPs, both series are like celebrations of racing games and motorsports, and they are, but Gran Turismo is sterile and pretentious, and Forza is a fun festival celebration of motorsports. It's also got a massive advantage in being a next gen only, like a proper next gen game that can really take advantage of what a better processor can do. So Gran Turismo 7 was held back massively by being a PlayStation 4 game, and it's a weird one because they sit there talking about how they've got like all these different angles of the paint, all these different engine sounds. The tires have got like 8 points of contact with the road. And me as a player, I'm not sophisticated enough to recognize that while I'm playing it. I said on my show on Thursday, like, you can have all these engine sounds. You could swap the engines between the cars and I wouldn't know. You could swap them for Phil Spencer going vroom, 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 and I would be fine.
But here's the thing,
know.
there's a lot of car enthusiasts
enough,
that can tell you what that car is by the engine sound. It's insane.
And authenticity hopefully comes together to mean a lot for a lot of people. But yes, for a pancake racer, someone playing on a controller, which is again another conversation in itself, because these are different experiences that are very challenging for consoles. This racing model that they've got has to work on a controller, which is kind of mind-blowing when you consider the difference between a steering wheel and a controller and how they've got to get this to work across both and be consistent. So there are conversations to have in the different ways that you can play this games. But yes, Forza Motorsport as a series, as a technological showcase, night and day difference is much, much more impressive. And if it had VR, then it would just be no conversation at all for Gran Turismo. Like, it would be a forgotten memory.
Well, I agree with you. I think Turn 10, I always said before the week before the show, didn't I say that Forza is the one to keep an eye out? And I still maintain that. The game just looks stunning. There have been some comparisons about the visual style of it. They say Gran Turismo's cars look more realistic than Forza. And I don't know what... I kind of get in replay mode, the color palette looks a little bit more subdued. This is a little bit brighter. But just wholesale, it just looks like jaw-dropping. Whereas GT, I never let my jaw drop because I wanted to.
The difference in paint alone, you can see, like, even from a little bit of a distance, the sheen on the paint, it looks a little bit different than Forza 7. I think it is going to make a difference with what they're doing there. I don't know the exact technical term for it or whatever, but really adding in those different sheens for the paint flakes and the polish that they're doing there on the paint is really well done. It looks freaking amazing.
Yeah.
So may I add my 2 cents here real quick?
Of course you, sir.
I too thought this game was brilliant and amazing looking, but I have just the tiniest bit of smoke.
Go ahead,
right?
Give it.
And this came to me because this is just what I care about, me personally. And I'm a selfish gamer. I'm a technologist, so I wanted to see some things. Myself and Everborn, and a shout out to him if he's watching, we keep debating and having these conversations about people keep clowning the Series S because on paper it's great, but we never see it shine because always third parties are allowed to show what they can do. And it always gets short shrift.
Yeah.
It would have been absolutely awesome if somebody at Turn 10 sat down on that couch, which we saw many couches, grabbed a Series S controller and started playing the Series S, showing us Series S footage. Because we know that what you showed us is probably 30, 40, 90 footage. Because yes, and to Everborn's credit, the game releases day and date on PC, so you can show the best of the best. I get that. But because we all know Turn 10 are the experts, right? To the point we always hear that when next console generation comes around, Microsoft was consulting Turn 10 and the coalition by and large for hardware to choose because they are so good at getting the most out of said hardware. So to me, I would have loved, and I'm not taking anything away from it. It looks great. It's going to be great. I would have loved to see them take this opportunity to show Series S footage. Because that would have set the benchmark, right? Because that's the lowest it could potentially be in the console space. On the PC space, it gets lower. We know that. But in the console space, that's the lowest threshold. So if you were able to show that and wow people with Series S footage, that would blow everyone away. Because
I don't think they really wanted
X
to push. I don't think they wanted to push the time limit like that. And you'd rather showcase your product as best you can.
Of course. That's why I said it's me. It's selfish. I know it's not necessary. I just wish they did something to that ilk just to shut up the naysayers about the Series S. Because I think this, if there's any studio that can do it, it's between the Coalition and Turn 10.
No,
that's where
I personally want to see the best version.
I want to see the best version as well. And I don't think you can afford to show the Series S until you've shown the Series X version first.
You see, and this is my point. If you show me the best, then you show me Series S, it'll always look worse. Show me Series S.
That's the reality of it, KSRT. We're not trying to. Are you trying to sell the Series S to people? Are you on their payroll?
But it's not that I'm on their payroll. It's not that I'm on their payroll. It's just the idea that when you read on the spec sheet what it's capable of in a 1080p capacity, it does a lot. But by and large, more often than not, most developers use I call it the analogy of instead of smart development, it's strength development. You know what? And in the strength field, memory and CPU aren't necessarily the best there. So you'll never get the best from it. But if you smart develop, then all of a sudden this thing does way more than it's capable of. And I would love to see an example of it.
But that would be something they would do on a separate stage. That's something that you would see like at a Forza deep dive, maybe show you the best of the best from the X, from the PC version even. And then they show you, okay, this is what the Series S looks like. That's different.
Okay.
You know?
No, I completely. And again, I will say this is from my perspective, right? I know it wasn't not necessarily on the main stage. I hope that one day with one of these things they do that because they need to spend some time paying attention to the Series S and showing people that the thing that most people bought more than the X is actually worth something. Hey, look at what it can do. Actually, you know.
Do both. You have to show the Series X first, because if you most likely PC footage, you need to show the Series X. Some people are complaining, so show us gameplay. We did see in-track racing.
They're talking in-track ray tracing, all of that. That is a huge, those are big buzzwords that will be dissected to hell once this thing is close to release.
Oh, there's already being dissected.
Right? Yeah. So if you're not going to come correct with the Series S, oh boy, the pitchforks are coming out of frame, right? So
Yeah.
start there. That's why I was thinking that, because no matter what you show, it could be the best of the best. They will tell you later, oh yeah, that was 4090 footage. They were lying to you about it being caught, right? So just show us what you have. Be confident in it.
Yeah,
but that's not to take
absolutely.
anything away from what they did show. I think it showed great. I'm looking forward to playing it, right? And if that benchmark is great, Forza Horizon 6 or whatever will take this and double it, which is what I love. I love the Horizon.
Well, a different type of visual fidelity, but
sure,
yeah, absolutely.
but they use the same code base. So I expect that whatever gains that are gained here in this iteration will be capitalized upon on the next Forza Horizon series, which I'm looking forward to. So yeah, I think it's great.
No, absolutely, it does look great. Asa, before I go on to you, I want to say shout out to 500 people watching. Smash that like button. I've been trying to say that for all ages, but keep getting distracted. Mostly by chat battling at each other. But yeah, no, shout out to everyone watching. Please hit the like button. It does help us out if you are enjoying the show. Asa, generally, anything to add on the Forza chat? Like, are you concerned about its performance on Series S? And also the release date? It didn't show it. What do you think, Asa? Is this actually coming out in the month or 12-month
window? I think
window?
I've said plenty about Forza because you promised this would be a 90-minute show, so I'm not going to go over
that. Okay, fine. Well, the only bad thing was they didn't show a release date, which means when is it coming out, Fonz?
I think probably they could push it till November, I think.
Starfield,
I think it might be holiday
game of the year
out in September.
I think it might be the last game of the year. Yeah, I think it'll be out late because, again, in the summer months, they don't like to push games in July and August.
Okay.
So October, November. All
right. March 23rd, says King Hell.
March 23rd. The marchers are on the march again.
Yeah. What about UK, Santi? When do you think this is coming out?
Yeah, if they break the promise, right? I don't know. September, October. I do see that.
So you think it's going to slip?
I look, honestly, in my heart of hearts, no matter what promises were made, no matter what timelines are there, I think Starfield should be the game that ends this year. That should be their big game of the year, I think, personally. Screw the promises, screw what you said. Make it so that Starfield ends this year. Make Forza come out summertime towards fall. I think that's how it should work. How it will work, who knows, because of the promises and pushing them to the back, and now they have to adhere. I think it would work better for them. Yeah, I think it would work better for them if they space out their big AAA games, their big offerings, so that you feel like you're still getting, in between all the second and the third parties, you feel like you're getting a good helping of first party throughout the year. I don't know what they'll do for the second half of the year. We definitely see Forza hitting there.
Yeah.
If that's the last one, I guess it's cool. There's a lot still coming. But I just think that's why I keep saying screw the promises. Like, think with a logical mind for the year 2023.
Especially in the first 6 months, you've got so much coming out. So much, even in the Game Pass alone.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, that's all I understand that, but we should still hold Xbox's feet to the fire for breaking their covenant. Because this is the thing of don't make promises, because it's in your best interest to space it out, but you can't do that now because you promised that you.
I agree with that.
And
they
then
shouldn't
you've
make those
cursed
promises.
the 12-month plan. You've cursed it from the beginning. It's really bad. Pony Trash, your name alone is just genius. But can you chill? I'm not going to time you out, but stop being personal attacks. Your whole identity is defined by just crapping on other guys. Albert as well, just relax, both of you. Your baby father, shout out to you, man. Thank you so much for the super chat. He goes, I'll be annoyed if they miss the first half promise, but a strong second half would do some good. I can deal with Forza September, Stalker 2 in October, and Starfield November. Okay, there's an interesting date.
That's a gamer who will forgive the mistakes, the promise, but knows that the game will ultimately work out if they have more time to breathe. You know, and that's a good point right there. You know,
and we've always said it. Like Xbox's years always been holiday weighted, and they don't give them enough time to breathe. Matt Booty did say to Colt and Hargy last year, like, we've got so many games, it's just going to be a struggle to actually schedule them. And finally, because Asa needs to go, this one, and Asa, you could talk about it. The big interview. By the way, if you haven't checked it out, and I normally don't endorse IGN, not because I hate them.
Let's skip a whole game, even if I want to go.
Minecraft sucks. I don't want to talk about Minecraft.
My children and I will love Minecraft.
Go on, Asa.
It'll be amazing. It will be amazing.
Talk to us about Minecraft as we lose viewers talking about Minecraft.
Look, Microsoft were able to put it in their show and they didn't lose viewers, so we can cover it for like a few minutes. Minecraft Legends looked like a really interesting concept because obviously they focused on the multiplayer of it, and they kind of alluded to it being, it started to sound like they were talking about a MOBA, and then they showed all these building elements, and the potential mechanically is quite high for me, but the Minecraft universe doesn't resonate with me in the slightest. Minecraft, in terms of background and lore, has always been bitten. It's built around functionality rather than actually having any depth or story, and that's just the reality of what Minecraft is as an IP. But it is a massive IP, so it's nice to see Microsoft are exploring a new genre and new mechanics and things that could be big. But I said on Twitter, I would be massively, incredibly excited if this game was like Warcraft Legends and not Minecraft Legends, because mechanically it's so interesting and the setting is so not interesting.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's one to completely gloss over as a game. Like, they only had 4. We can mention it.
I could play it and actually really love it, but it's just, you're right, the aesthetic doesn't grab me.
The gameplay style reminds me of a setting, a gameplay option in Brutal Legend. For those who've played Brutal Legend, there's a part inside Brutal Legend. This is like the only AAA game that Double Fine ever tried to make. Protagonist was Jack Black.
Jack Black.
There's a part in the game where it's like an action RTS, where you're setting up the traps, you're moving your units and all that, but you're also in the mix as well with them. And this really harkens to that. It seems like they kind of took their inspiration from that nugget. Initially, I was like, yes, Minecraft, this is the biggest game here, even though I personally don't necessarily pay too much attention to it. But of course, my daughter, my 6-year-old, just walked by and went, ooh, new Minecraft game. Want to see a trailer? And showed me the same trailer I was watching. So it will be played a lot in my house. Let's just say that. So
yeah,
they know the audience they're speaking to. It's not us.
It's Fonz.
No. Fonz is all you, right? Day one, no?
Fonz, like,
the look on his face is like,
he's just giving up on life. He's just like, yeah, right.
Well, we're talking about Minecraft Legends, so it's not, again, it's not for me. I'm not going to speak ill on it because it's a massive franchise. I can't say anything really terrible except that it's not for me. I don't like the aesthetic at all. I think it's dull.
Yeah, I agree.
No,
I agree. I absolutely agree. One thing, Fonz, to your thoughts, the Minecraft's aesthetic is dull. There's a dude on YouTube, you should look it up. He has a 4090 and he turned up all, Minecraft uses chunks. He turned the 4090 and you turned the chunks up all the way to extreme and basically made Minecraft look like a realistic, like almost Call of Duty.
Oh my, the sand and the water, so insane.
Wow.
Insane.
That's different.
Mad. It looks mad. It looks insane, like sand and water dripping everywhere.
It's just the nuttiest thing I've ever seen. But you need like a monster.
Is it still blocky though?
No, the blocks are squished down to tiny morsels.
Tiny bits. It looks granular level sand. It looks amazing. You have to check it out. That's a good shout.
But you need a monster rig to run it. Like
this is what I have to say about Minecraft.
Never played it. Never enjoyed it.
And on that bombshell, we're going to go to the next final topic. So IGN did an incredible interview with Phil Spencer. Shout out to the lady whose name I haven't got, who carried out this very candid interview.
Bailey, something Bailey. Oh my God, that Bailey's her last name. I'll find it. Don't worry. Continue.
Okay, cool. Yeah, but she did it. IGN did a great review. Mrs. Bailey or Miss Bailey, sorry. Just give her a Mrs. tag.
Cat Bailey. That's her name.
Cat Bailey.
Cat Bailey. Kat Bailey did a great interview with Phil Spencer. It's very good. And Colt did a great video today on it as well. And he backed up with footage and all of that. But in this interview, Phil Spencer quite owns up to his mistakes. He says it's his responsibility for the failing. He said 2022 didn't have much. And all the people were like, hug a Game Pass emoji, it's fine. Phil Spencer, head of Xbox, saying it was a dry rain. We need to do better. She asked him about Halo. And what did he mention? Not just content. He mentioned quality. We failed on quality. That's what he said. It was one of the words he said twice. Yes, shout out to Marlon. Yeah, he did say that. He did, and it's an interview you need to watch. But one thing, I will end it on a positive. He did say this, and I tweeted on Twitter, and I was like, you guys are so gullible. I'm like, listen to what he said. He said they're feeling okay. Let me paint the picture. Xbox has felt the pressure. Xbox has been listening. If I listened to all the mindless drones, we'd have a different story. But you know what they did? They announced, confirmed, we are at the June event. He was hyping up E3, and then he said, we've already decided we already know what we're showing in June. Done. What does that mean? It means this is not coming out hot out of the gate. We're not being reactionary. We are preparing things. We've already know what we're showing.
Do you know why? Because they've got so many studios that they have there that have been trying to make their games for how many years now. So yeah, they better have something to show by June. You know, that was the one take I took from this whole interview. I just watched it this morning and I thought the interview itself was kind of typical Phil Spencer interview. You don't really learn much there. He took a lot of blame for stuff. Yeah, that's typical. That's Phil. That's how he is. But in the end, when he did mention that they had stuff coming and they had the show ready to show and all this, it tells me that there's more confidence there this year than there was last. At least you can take that much away from it, you know, that they're confident. So going forward, I think it's going to be, again, I've been telling people and people are like, man, I don't know what Fonz has been taking lately, but he's being really positive. And it's just like, because this year is so different from last year. How can't you look at the games lineup from everybody? PlayStation, Microsoft, third party. We've got some fantastic games. Even Nintendo, you know, their fans are happy. There's so many good games coming in 2023. Everybody's eating in 2023. I love it.
I love it. Like Tim Dog
love
would
it
say.
A lot. Yeah.
I love it.
I love it.
Shout out to Tim Dog. Yeah, no, absolutely. And why would you not be positive? But I am seeing the change, and I'll make a video on it. But something. This is it. He comes out. He says, June, we know everything we're showing this already. This is it me? Am I reading too much into it? That to me seems like we want to show. I'm not saying the
never claimed they're going to have a
good
good year before. This is the first time that Xbox have ever come out and said we've got a good year ahead of us. Never seen that. Not every year for the last decade.
You Asa. They said they've already got their June. They know everything they're showing.
The delivery is Asa, man. So biting. Oh, Lord.
Since they're munching on God knows what, saying, yeah, you lot always fall for it. All I'm saying is there's a little bit more to it than last year.
I'm inclined to believe them as well. Don't get me wrong. But...
I agree with y'all. And yes, we drink the Kool-Aid because we play on Xbox. Yes, it's true. They've said it multiple times. Even the worst years, they say,
it's so true. It's
absolutely.
So true.
Right? But if you pay attention to some of the conversations that have been had in the reports for those who hear them, right, in the background, Phil Spencer's not a nice dude. He's out there yelling and screaming and pissed off that his people listen to some of Grubb's conversations. He is not happy. He's out there.
Jeff Grubb said Phil Spencer's pissed off?
Oh yeah. It has been reported on a few occasions that when we are upset, he's upset. Background. Right? So
that's right. Phil Spencer brings the rain.
Yeah, it's true. You know. So If he is now saying, look, we understand that 2022 was light, he's saying everything we want, and we've heard from the community about wait until next year, just keep waiting. He said all of that, right? So, and he's Mr. The Buck Stops With Me. I appreciate that. That is chef's kiss. That's great. So you've set it up, you've teed it up beautifully, Phil. Now we shall see. Right
now,
yes.
deliver.
See. That's it.
Deliver.
At this point, it's not about one game. It's not about this game, that game, whatever game. Starfield could be the most amazing thing ever. If there's another drought until half of 2024, that's a huge L. Like, it's, to me personally, it's about repeat cadence. And when we get this E3 show, I want to hear new code names. I want to see new games.
Yes.
I don't want to hear any of the same old crap we keep hearing,
bro.
Right? I want to hear new names. I don't want to hear anything about Avowed unless you actually have something substantial to show about Avowed. Otherwise, let Avowed not be spoken of. Right?
Yeah, I was going to get mad at you and said, no, I want to hear about Avowed, damn it. I want to see Avowed.
No, I want to hear it and see it when you have something substantial, not another breadcrumb.
Some gameplay.
Right? E3 can be for breadcrumbs, right? But give us new breadcrumbs, not the same one you've been feeding us for the past 2-3 years.
Just because you want to go on a diet doesn't mean I'm going to withstand breadcrumbs. That's what E3 is. Full steak, medium rare, fat chips, garlic sauce, E3 all kinds of hot sauce.
When has E3 done that? They never do that. E3 doesn't.
They have to do it this
the moonshots.
No, I don't give a shit. They have to do it this year.
I hope you're right.
No breadcrumbs. Deliver the sauce, deliver the madness, because you fucked up so badly last year. You need to deliver some madness.
I think the biggest thing is they shouldn't put a time limit on things. They shouldn't really give a date unless they know for sure.
Damn secure. They should be hi-fi rush secure before they speak.
The 12-month thing was just a bad thing to do.
Yes,
I'm of the mind that I'm one of the gamers that likes to see games way ahead of time. I like to hear announcements about games even 4 years in advance. I don't care. I get excited about those games. Look, Wolverine was teased, and that's not coming out till 2025 probably. And I'm excited as shit for that game.
Yes.
I like those announcements.
Yeah,
give me some of those.
I'm 100%. I'm with you on that. Right. That's why when we were talking about the context and format of their shows, I said I love what they have here, but I want another show where those moonshots can be available. Right, because every show they have now that we like tends to be, well, this is what we've shown you before. Let's show you more of it and give you dates. Great. No disagreement from me there, right? But I need a place where, hey, see this thing we're about to show you? Don't expect a release year even, but here you go. I need that to also be possible, right? And it looks so far, we don't know what E3 will bring, but last E3 brought 12 months. Maybe this E3 will bring another 12 months. All I'm saying is I have no issue with that. Just give me some moonshots. Give me some special stuff, some stuff that I didn't see coming, right? Just like you did with Hi-Fi Rush, but do it in a AAA, high budget. This is it. This is what we're doing. We won't give you the release date because it's far out, but you guys wanted it, so take a look. I'm just like you. When leaks dropped of the next GTA, I didn't go, oh, it's trash. What's going on? I was excited to see behind the curtain. I never get to see behind the curtain. This was amazing, right? And because we get angry anytime they show us behind the curtain, that's why we don't get to see nice things. So we should all just be excited about these nice things instead of ripping in the shreds when they show them to us.
Yeah,
Facts.
no, it's true. Facts. But let them start off with showing us the nice things. I'm not going to go out there on a pulpit and say, I have faith in Xbox that they will kill E3. I'm going to be like, no, it looks like it, seems confident. I have no idea because the Microsoft confidence has completely shat itself.
Ask me that question, guys.
Chronic diarrhea.
Ask me that question in 2025, and I'll be able to give you a definitive answer. Because in 2025, if I'm still happy with their cadence and how much then I'm like, well, they're here, baby. They're good, right?
Yeah.
But not 2023 because they've regurgitated a bunch of games. 2024 will be interesting. If 2024 looks good and 2025 happens, then we know they finally learned the lesson. They've started it, and
I'm
now
with you,
we're
Kay,
officially in the Netflix
It's-
of games, right?
It's a sustained period of performance that you consistently show that cadence because you've got all these studios. I completely agree with you. Reverse Well, thank you with the $5 super chat. He goes, if you read articles by Jez, etc., the Starfield release date now seems less about polish and more about overall strategy. I understand completely where Microsoft is coming from here. Starfield needs to get all the time, it needs to breathe. So how can you shadow drop a game like that? It doesn't make good strategic sense.
Especially within the
opinion.
first 6 months. Like I said, so much is dropping in that time.
Yeah.
They just put on Twitter that it's released now. It released half an hour ago. Let's go, shall
Oh
we?
shit! Let's go. I would be out of here. I'd be on that game.
Let's
so
go.
quick.
Bye. We're almost out. Your baby father, thank you with the $5 super chat, man. He goes, Phil has been saying the same things about not having enough releases for several years. I like it, but it gets old. He does do that. But he specified 2022 was a bad year. Now he's brought that in. If they don't deliver, even the most hardcore, well, that's a lie. Hardcore Xbox will suck off everything. We've seen that. But it will be war in the streets. Xbox has high standards to now show. The 2022 is added to that burden. Ace Out Gaming with a $2 super chat. Thank you, man. He goes, what's this I hear about a PS5 Pro with water cooling? Nonsense. Reverse World, thank you so much. Well, it might do, but no. Reverse World, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Complete nonsense. The Xbox future we pictured in 2018 feels real now. Does it, Reverse World? I think you're speaking a few months in advance, but hopefully, Reverse, it will feel like that for all of us at E3, which is going to be the big one. We also, before that, need to see the quality of these games. So Redfall starts off 84 meta, fine. Starfield bangs, fine. Forza, fine. We need to get the release date of that game. But let's see. Phil, you've had a tough year. You could even see it. He was like, it was stressful. It's taken its toll on him and the decisions he needs to make. We all live in that world. But shout out to Phil. I appreciate the transparency. We just need to see the results now, ladies and gentlemen. And on that note, it is the end of the show. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed it. Sorry, Asa, you have to have no sleep. But it was such a good conversation. How could we do that? Yeah, baby father. The last one goes, too many Xbox preachers taking the gospel of Phil to the masses every year. It will be war. Yes, it will, you baby father. But here at GameOnDaily, we don't toe party lines. As you can tell from the whole of 2022, we've been besieged by salty fans. It has been a great show. Before we go, I have to give the gents their chance to say their goodbyes after gracing us with their presence for 2 hours and delivering a dang show. There was never a dull moment. Fonzarelli Gaming. So I'm looking at you. How are you? Tell the peoples what's next.
What's next? I have a show tomorrow I'm doing on my channel, Fonz Gaming. You can see me there. I'm going to be with Pong Soul from the community. He's on Mav's show.
Cabal
He's
leader,
on Boom
Pong
show.
Soul.
He's on everything. And he's part of the Marchers. He's part of the Marchers
Kill him.
in
Tell him.
Starfield.
He's the Cabal leader. Remind that. Cabal
End him,
leader.
Fonz. End him tomorrow.
He thinks that this game's coming out on March. He's going to be schooled tomorrow. But at the end of the day, no, we're going to have a great time. I love Pong. It's going to be a fun show. See me there, Fonz Gaming, tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific time. That'd be 8 p.m. Eastern time. I know it's really late in the UK, but apologize, but I had to move the show to that time slot. And it works out well for me because tomorrow I've got a big football game I got to watch too early. So, hey. Anyways, find me there, Fonz Gaming. Fonz Gaming on Twitter as well.
Yeah, check him out. Check out Fonz's stuff. He's a G, and hopefully one day he'll make videos again because we love those.
Yeah, I know. I've been so busy lately.
I know what you mean.
Kids and it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Say it again. Freaking kids.
Freaking kids, man. I'll say it even better. Freaking kids. Yeah. There you go.
Sounded weird.
Freaking kids.
Last but certainly not least, it is Kay Asante. I hope you had a good time on the show. Thank you again for joining us.
Brother, it is always fun when you invite me on this show. It's always a blast. One of these days, we're going to have you be quiet, and it's going to be all Asa, the whole show, just talking VR. I'm waiting for that day. I am waiting for that day.
That's the day I won't tune in if it's VR.
Oh, stop it. Stop it. No,
I love when Asa takes the show over sometimes, but I do not like hearing about VR. I'm sorry.
I know it's not for everybody. Of course,
I'm a pancake,
You're a
gamer.
pancake gamer. I get you. It's cool, and the tent is big enough to support everybody. We appreciate you.
Sure is.
But no, thank you guys so much for having me on. I appreciate being on. It's always great. As you know, I'm always in the chat, always watching. Yours is part of my weekend ritual. So being here is an honor. So I appreciate it. We had a great show this morning, actually, with another great community member of the gaming community, PTK Bland from the Shop Podcast.
Oh yeah,
joined us on the Gaming Circle podcast.
Guy, yeah.
We had a great conversation. It was lots of fun. Check us out if you haven't done so. I think I see some links in the chat. So thank you so much, Isla, for putting the links in the chat for me. Thank you so much for having me, and you'll see me in your chat next week, most likely. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you again, and always for tuning in as well. That means a lot as well. Thank you both, gents, for killing it. Asa, outro time. I know. I'm sorry. I tried, but I failed.
Did you try? Did you?
Not really.
I do talk a lot about VR, and I try and keep it over on my other little YouTube channel on the side where I do a 2-hour show on a Thursday, and also lots of weird stuff. Like this is part of a little video that is on my channel at the moment that could use some views and support. Because it took freaking ages to make, like so long to make.
Just SEO? You have these obscure titles. YouTube will not populate it, bro.
Don't mind. I will just ask here nicely for people to come and watch it. So yeah, my channel's going to have other stuff. It's going to have lots of VR content. It's going to have pancake content. It's going to have things that are different to this. And then I'll be back here on Saturday as well. So thank you both guests for coming along. If you haven't already subscribed to both gents, please do so.
You just demonetized your whole video with that clip. I'm just telling you right now.
No, it's fine.
Holy crap.
It's fine.
I love Fonz's response. That's great.
In a PlayStation.
Bro, that was a shocker right there. I was not expecting that. Just all that blood.
If I made that video, I'd be in Guantanamo Bay. He could do that.
Oh man, that was crazy.
No, it's not that bad. You have to watch it though.
Yeah, I gotta see that.
It's actually really good. We're gonna feature on this channel, but I was gonna do some edits, but
that's funny.
Took me too long. Took me way too long. It's a great video. Let me change the title, please. And yeah. Boston. Yeah, thank you so much, everyone in chat. We've got a couple of videos, hopefully, coming for you. One source video. This time it's the PlayStation boys getting here. Finally, feels good to be back. I just didn't like shitting on my own peoples. I just didn't like it. They needed to be put in their place, but now it's the PlayStation time, so it's gonna be really good. That'll take a while, but before that, I also got a couple of other videos coming out next week. So please do hit that like button, bell icon, subscribe, all that good stuff. I hope you had a great time. And for people on Spotify, thank you for tuning in, and hopefully see you very, very soon. Take care.
Thank you.
Peace.
I